Predictor Game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click talksport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor Game. Available online and for free at talksport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. There are bubbles blowing across the London Stadium, as there always are pre-kick-off when West Ham United are in action. The two teams being introduced to the stadium via the announcer. They're out on the field of play. Huddersfield are wearing their traditional blue and white stripes today. West Ham United in claret, and there's not much blue left in their claret and blue strip, but they are traditionally a claret and blue side. Huddersfield Town are one of the great names in English football. They won the title 3 years running in the 1920s. They also won the FA Cup in that decade. Since then it hasn't been quite as illustrious. They haven't beaten West Ham United in a league match since they won at the old Leeds Road ground in November 1971. They've lost 15 of their last 17 Premier League games. That adds up to 4 points gained from a possible 51. They are potentially on course to become the team with the second fewest points in the history of the English top flight. Derby County managed only 11 about 10 years ago, and Stoke City in 1985, I think it was, managed only 17 points. At the moment, Huddersfield have 14. They're 16 from safety, and all is lost. What they must do today is try and prove to the manager that all is not lost in terms of a long-term project. For West Ham United, having meekly and rather dismally lost at Cardiff last weekend, the job is to get themselves back on track. They do have a pretty decent home record, but the problem with West Ham, I know interesting. Huddersfield don't score goals. West Ham can't keep clean sheets, only 5 this season. That's the second worst after Fulham. They've only had one shutout in the last 9 games. We're underway at the London Stadium. John Moss is the referee. Huddersfield with the bubble still blowing in. What is a nasty wind blowing across London. It's been a very, very stormy week. We've had Storm Gareth, as it's called in London. It's not named after Gareth Southgate, I don't think, but it's been causing all kinds of problems. I've had to prop up my fence this week because the winds were high in our garden and almost took it down. That's enough about my domestic situation. David Connolly alongside me. What are you expecting? Big West Ham win or West Ham show of sort of mental frailties like at Cardiff?
Well, I think that they're going to up against a side here that are, especially how they've set up, trying to be difficult to break down. It looks like there's going to be 5 in midfield with just 1 up top. But West Ham obviously have got to be on their game here. They're the home side. They've got to make the game. It's up to them really to dominate the ball. And they should be putting Huddersfield to the sword as long as they're on their game though.
Felipe Anderson has gone down on the far side of the field, almost on the centre circle, holding his face. He's only just now got up onto his feet. And Huddersfield look to get the ball forward with Aaron Moy, a distinctive bald-headed figure, an Australian World Cup player, of course, and a man who you suspect may not be playing at Huddersfield Town. He's one of the few you'd think maybe the Premier League side would come in for.
He's definitely got the ability, but looking at them here, it's a confident start from Huddersfield. I mean, they're playing out from the back, trying to dominate the ball. Very confident. They're certainly not going back to front.
West Ham trying to get forward here. It's Mikel Antonio. It's not a very good touch, and it's knocked back by Juninho Bacuna, who's been playing as a right back lately, but is on the right side of the midfield today. Brother of Leandro Bacuna, who plays for Cardiff, the team that West Ham United lost to a week ago. Here's Moy in midfield for Huddersfield. Just a goal, I think, for their fans. Imagine what it's like being a Huddersfield Town fan, travelling up and down the country every week, and they haven't scored since Matthias Jorgensen got a goal against Manchester United in a 3-1 defeat on Boxing Day. In this calendar year, Huddersfield Town have not scored away from home, and that includes the FA Cup.
Well, they've only won, 4 wins since last March, so you can see why. But I tell you, this is a really confident start. They have dominated the ball, started really well.
Yeah, they have. Pritchard trying to get the ball forward down the inside right channel, but it goes beyond him. He's got the young Aaron Rowe outside him. I'll take you through the 2 lineups in full. West Ham, Lucas Fabianski in goal. The back 4, Pablo Zabaleta, Angelo Ogbonna, Issa Diop and Aaron Creswell. Declan Rice newly included into the England squad following his switch of nationality. Anchoring then Mikel Antonio, Mark Noble, Manuel Lanzini and Felipe Anderson up front, Marko Arnautovic. That actually came off a West Ham boot. I'll give you their team in a moment because Huddersfield have a corner which Aaron Moy will take. It's an in-swinger. It's missed by Arnautovic, but not to any great calamity. It's gone above his head and away for a throw. Huddersfield have Jonas Lössl in goal. Tommy Smith is back from a 3-match ban at right back. Then it's Terence Congolo and Christian Lowe in the centre-half positions with Eric Durm at left back. It's 5 across midfield. Juninho Bacuna, John Stankovic, who will hold, Aaron Moy, Alex Pritchard and Aaron Rowe, and up front the youngster Carlin Grant, 21 years old, arrived from Charlton Athletic in January. Here's Declan Rice leaving it for Ogbonna, who gives it away. It's picked up in midfield by Bacuna.
That's good screening
to Zabaleta.
Sorry, John, it's really good screening there from Bacuna. So he knows that basically Arnautovic is the lone front man for West Ham, so it's his job just to patrol in front, try and prevent that ball into Arnie's feet. He's done it really well so far. And actually, Chris Lowe is operating out on this left-hand side. Stankovic is in the back line alongside Congolo, who's a terrific left-sided centre-half. Came through at final. Obviously, he's got a brother, Rodney, as well.
It's Zabaleta infield to Rice. Rice has given it away rather cheaply, and it's picked up by Durm, who finds Pritchard, former Tottenham briefly, and Norwich player. He made a couple of substitute appearances for Spurs. It didn't work out there. And he went to East Anglia. He scored in 16 games. That's a very telling statistic in terms of Huddersfield Town. Here come West Ham. Arnautovic down the left-hand side, gets into the box. Not much support for him at the moment. Goes to the byline, tries to cut it back. It's hoofed away by Rowe. And then Zabaleta loses it to Pritchard, and Pritchard finds Aaron Moy, and Moy drives it forward up towards Carlin Grant, wearing number 16 on his back. Scorer of 21 goals in 98 appearances for Charlton Athletic, and only 21 years old, so plenty of experience, albeit in a division 2 lower than this one.
He's quick though, I tell you, he's really quick and powerful. But he's obviously stepped up again. You can say Ogbonna, he had the pace to match his running behind there, but West Ham just haven't got their game going. They turn the ball over far too often, too lax, and you can hear the crowd. I mean, they're a bit subdued here. They don't quite know what to make of this performance so far. Certainly last week was terrible. Against Newcastle it was brilliant, so they don't really know how they're going to be today, and they've started so sloppily. Again, look, Declan Rice wins it, gives the ball straight back to Huddersfield.
Let's go to Turf Moor, where there's been some sort of incident very early in the game. Let's find out what's going on there. It's Burnley-Leicester, and it's Andrew South.
Barnsley throws down the line. Wood helps it on. Taken on the chest by Goodmanson. Halfway line stopped by Evans. Ball breaks again. Goodmanson through the centre. He's in front of Maguire. Maguire goes behind him. Michael Oliver's got a job to do here. It's a red card.
Here's Zabaleta. Harry Maguire sent off at Leicester. For Leicester at Burnley. Well, that's a boost for Burnley, isn't it, early on? They're up against 10 men for, well, virtually the entire game. We've only had 6.5 minutes here. Huddersfield have conceded a corner, and there was a suspicion of handball there.
Wow. Just off the top of the arm, wasn't it? I think it was
Christian Löw.
Christian Löw, yeah. Zabaleta, though, bombing on as he does for fun. He's a great attacking outlet for them down there, right? Despite his age. I mean, he's been brilliant.
Lanzini will take the corner, the first for West Ham. It's an outswinger from the right boot of the Argentine, and he swung it far too far, but it's a poor touch by Grant. Declan Rice into the box, and a header off the top of the crossbar by Mikel Antonio. West Ham United very, very close to taking the lead. The ball was delivered by Rice after a poor touch on the far side. Antonio got up above his man. The header just brushing the top of the crossbar on its way over.
Well, it started with a really poor delivery on the free kick, on the corner actually from Lanzini, but just kept alive by Declan Rice. Just a header, couldn't quite keep it down from Antonio, came off the top of the bar.
Here's Aaron Moy, he's done well for Huddersfield, finds Pritchard into the box, but it's a harmless. Oh, West Ham have let it go, and it's back in again, and headed away finally by Ogbonna. The delivery was chipped back into the area by Christian Löw. What were West Ham doing there? Wow. They just assumed the ball was going to go over the top and away for a throw-in, and they allowed Löw to come in, and they were fortunate, really, that it wasn't a particularly good cross by the German left fullback.
Well, that's, I guess, symptomatic of, their problems in terms of, trying to get in the way, trying to prevent goals against. Fabianski there just allowed the ball to run across him. Should have actually taken more responsibility there. It's a good chance, though, for Antonio, just rewinding a little bit. I mean, he's so good in the air. Yes. Hard to stop. Big, powerful boy.
He's got a couple of goals in his last 5 games. He got a goal against Liverpool, of course, here. And was also on target recently in a win at Fulham. Here's Aaron Creswell. We've got 3 Aarons on the pitch. Creswell, Rowe and Moy. Here's Issa Diop finding Antonio again. It's half blocked by Löw, and it's going to be a throw into West Ham. It's taken quickly by Zabaleta. Here's Antonio switching the play to the far side. It's a poor ball though. Aaron Rowe nips in and wins the ball only for a fraction of a moment. It's his second appearance. He made his debut on Saturday against Bournemouth as a substitute, but starting today, he's a London boy actually. Here's West Ham coming forward again with Lanzini finding Noble trying to pick out Arnautovic. Huddersfield have smuggled the ball away, and Bakuna is driving forward now through centre midfield and trying to pick out Löw, who got into a very attacking position and wasn't able to quite find him. Just short of 10 minutes played. Huddersfield have I think they'll be fairly happy, all right. West Ham have hit the bar, but with the way things have gone in the opening 10 minutes, they'll be quite pleased. I think Jan Siebert is more casually dressed than his opposite number, Manuel Pellegrini, who's in a shirt and tie. Siebert is wearing a black tracksuit top and bottoms. Here's Antonio. Sorry, David.
No, I was just going to say they're both stood up on a technical area because obviously it's so far back when you're on the.
Yes.
It's almost like you're not actually in the game when you're sat down.
Here's Antonio. It's a good run by the West Ham man. He tries to chip it into the box. It's nodded away by the very tall figure of Terence Congolo, and Antonio does well again and finds Noble, West Ham's record attendance maker in the Premier League. Arnautovic, Lanzini, chance! Brilliant challenge by Aaron Moy, who got across, slid in and made sure that the angled drive by Manuel Lanzini did not reach its intended target. Excellent defending by the Australian.
Oh, it's a brilliant block. Really creative around the edge of the box from Lanzini. Little give and go. Maybe the return pass from Arnautovic is a little bit too heavy. Forced him wide into the byline, trying to cut it back, but Moy did brilliantly.
Another West Ham corner. It's Felipe Anderson who's going to take it. He takes over the duties from Lanzini, whose last one was rather overhit. It's a better one, and a flying in was Issa Diop. Couldn't make any contact. He recently scored his first ever Premier League goal job with a header from a corner against Fulham a couple of weeks ago in a 3-1 win.
It's better delivery though, wasn't it, from Felipe Anderson into a really good area. Ogbonna got the run on his man, just couldn't quite connect.
Nearly 12 minutes gone. It remains goalless, but West Ham have come closest to changing that. You can get in touch with us via Twitter at TalkSport Live. Here's Zabaleta down the line towards Antonio. Good challenge by the left back Eric Durm, who's got Lerver up ahead of him. Lerver trying to push it down the line. Durm's continued his run. Bit of space here. Cuts it back cleverly for Pritchard. Pritchard gets to the byline, drives the ball in. Zabaleta's in the way. It's a corner to Huddersfield.
Well, that's interesting because Zabaleta faced him up in terms of defending. Put his arms straight behind his back, just knowing that, look, he can't afford for the ball to hit him. Pritchard was in close proximity. Good block, though, with his legs.
So, a corner to Huddersfield Town. Goals have been so few and far between. They've only managed 8 away goals. Mind you, that's more than they've managed at home. It's a staggeringly low total. Here's Aaron Moy. He's hit it long. Up goes Congolo, but he was just leaning on his man. Christopher is listening to us in Nigeria, expecting a West Ham win with Felipe Anderson hat-trick, because he's in my official FPL team. I think that's like a sort of fantasy league, isn't it? I'm guessing. But, well, good luck with that. And Felipe Anderson has...
He's got
9 goals this season.
8 or 9, yeah, well.
Yeah, 9. Well, 8 in the Premier League, 9 in total.
I mean, he's their top scorer, don't get me wrong, he's having a really good season, but I guess that's the overconfidence maybe from some Hammers fans that they're going to put these away easily at Huddersfield, but I don't think it's going to be the case. They've set up really well defensively here. Here's
Arnautovic, who's their main striker today. Andy Carroll has picked up yet another injury. It looks like he might be on his way out of West Ham now. They're appealing for handball. Now, what's John Moss given here? He's given a free kick outside. Yes, this time it is. John Moss points to the spot. It looks like Aaron Rowe on Manuel Lanzini. It was clumsy by the youngster. Lanzini went flying, and John Moss, having denied a penalty to West Ham literally 20 seconds before, has now given one. What are your thoughts on that one? It certainly looked clumsy.
There was I think actually that was a definite pen, but I think just before that, on the header, it looked to me like either Ogbonna or Diop was pulled back, and that should have been a penalty. But as it is, Mark Noble assumes a mantle. He's their main man on pens.
Here he comes, Mark Noble, to give West Ham the lead, and does so. Strokes it calmly down the middle. Scorer against Huddersfield in a 4-1 win in January last season. He's done it again from the penalty spot, Mark Noble. He's now got 3 goals in his last 5 games, and West Ham United have the lead with just short of a quarter of an hour left. West Ham 1, Huddersfield 0. More gloom for Huddersfield, who are surely relegation bound.
Well, actually, from a slow start, West Ham, they have picked up been in the ascendancy, but it's a really clever, bright penalty. I've tried this myself once, just to go straight down the middle with the side foot. You just hope that trailing leg doesn't stop it. As it is, he's gone early there, Lozell. He does try to react and get his leg up, and he couldn't quite get it up high enough.
Did it work when you did it?
No, and that was in a World Cup, so not a clever place to try it.
Well,
anyway,
no.
Because you are banking that obviously the keeper goes early.
Yeah.
In a shootout, well, you think that would be the case. I think it was Casillas who was in goal.
That's right. I was thinking of your club, of course, for the Republic of Ireland 2002. Yeah.
But actually, look, in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, they have upped the gears a little bit. West Ham, and they've had chances. To me, John Ross has got a couple of things wrong. I think they could have had 2 pens before that one.
Well, they're grateful for the one they've got. It was buried by Noble, who's suddenly come into the goals of late, having had a rather barren spell. Here's Pritchard for Huddersfield. A little bit of space here for Löw, who lifts it into the West Ham box. It's a header away by Cresswell, hit on the volley firmly, and then striking Bonner on its way through. It's gone out for a corner kick. It was just half a chance for Huddersfield Town, with Tommy Smith there returning captain, although technically he has lost the captaincy to Christopher Schindler, but Schindler's not in the team today, so Jan Siebert decided to change the captain, but ultimately it stayed the same. Chance for Huddersfield, they've scored at last. It's Bakuna with the header from the Aaron Moy corner, and it is Huddersfield Town's first away goal in all competitions for 559 minutes, and it levels them up at the London Stadium. At last, the travelling Huddersfield army have something to celebrate. Bakuna's got his head to the corner, and it's 1-1. Well, it's a terrific, brilliant ball in from Aaron Moy, and he just gets the run here, Bakuna. I'm sure it's on Diop. Yeah, just gets a run on him. Great header, directs it into the far corner. Just standing still, Diop. No one's gone with him. And you'd have to say, look, they've started quite well here, Huddersfield. I know West Ham have had the better of the last 5 minutes, and actually Bakuna has been their main man. He has played at full-back, especially in that diamond formation. He's got more crosses in than anyone. He's now playing holding midfield today. Got his head on the end of that. Really good header. Yeah, excellent header. Juninho Bakuna's first goal for Huddersfield Town. His first goal anyway for maybe 2 years. And, well, West Ham's lead only lasted 3 minutes. A penalty and a set-piece goal. Poor goal, you'd say, for West Ham to concede, though. I mean, Bakuna is not renowned as being A, a goal scorer, B, a particularly strong player in the air, but he got up well, unmarked, and headed firmly home.
Well, look, if you're going to man-mark, you've got to do it well. There's sometimes a mix between zonal and man, but they went man for man there, and he just didn't go with him, Diop.
Here's Lanzini. West Ham supporters' joy short-lived, but here comes Anderson down the left-hand side. Tries to get the cross in. It's blocked. It's gone away for a throw-in. Michael Covington irons to win 4-1, though maybe 4-2 after they conceded in that messy way. Listening in Idaho, good day to you. Here's Mark Noble, scorer of West Ham's goal from the penalty spot, now levelled. There he is again, the West Ham one-club man, Arnautovic just preferred to Javier Hernandez today. The Mexican all-time international goal scorer is on the substitutes bench. Here's Felipe Anderson finding Lanzini. Huddersfield have got just about everyone back behind the ball here. It's Noble left-hand side for West Ham, and Anderson making a good dart forward down the channel, trying to get to the byline and get the cross in. He's lost possession though to Tommy Smith, who finds Pritchard, and away eventually by Stankovic, the tall defensive midfield player from Slovenia. And Bonner forced to chase back under a little bit of pressure from Carlin Grant. Jan Siebert will be delighted to see that goal go in. I mean, it's been absolutely desperate, this drought away from home, hasn't it?
It has. No away goals, obviously, in the last, 5? And
Boxing Day was the last time they scored one,
Good response, though. Really good response.
Here they come again. It's Aaron Rowe trying to get into the box. He's dispossessed, but it's come out to Bakuna. He's got his eyes on another goal, and isn't able really to get a shot in from the edge of the penalty area. It bumped up off a West Ham defender and has gone through to Lucas Fabianski. No chance for him with the header. It was a bullet into the corner. We've had 20 minutes. It's one apiece. It's been an entertaining game.
It has. I mean, I wonder if they had a mark the post like some clubs do. You know, someone there might have been able to clear it. As it is, they had no one on the post. And for young Aaron Rowe, obviously gave away the pen with that foul on Lanzini, but he's also responded well. Young player, just saw him dribbling with it there. He looks nice and bright.
Jordan is correcting me. He says Leandro Bacuna plays for Cardiff. I didn't know that because I mentioned it earlier on. Maybe that was a slip of the tongue, but it is Juninho Bacuna who has scored for Huddersfield. I thought I got that right, but never mind. Here's Lanzini in the centre circle, driving forward. Sabal and Arnautovic. Pritchard can't get a foot on the ball, and it's come out to Ogbonna, who drives it forward. This is Declan Rice. I wonder whether he'll get his first England cap in the games to come. Of course, it's International Week next week, so there'll be no Premier League football for you. England have got games against the Czech Republic at home and Montenegro away. And Rice has played 3 times for the Republic of Ireland. Funny and ironically, he won the Ireland Young Player of the Year. What do you make of that as a former Irish international? He's decided to play for England.
I'm not sure it's the right call, but it's an award actually I won myself, and it's a good one to win. You look at the list of winners, me excluded. They're pretty good players. So
included.
It's I guess a proud moment for him. But Mick McCarthy's not happy because obviously it's.
Well, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is thrown in his lot with England. To be fair, he's a London boy. His parents are English. Yeah. His grandfather, I think, was Irish, or both of his grandparents are Irish. Here come West Ham trying to get forward. Header away by Tommy Smith, who's just completed that 3-match suspension, having been sent off against Newcastle in a recent defeat. Well, it was 1-1 between these two teams at the John Smiths back in the earlier part of the season in November. Alex Pritchard got the goal for Huddersfield Town. It's Juninho Bacuna for Huddersfield today. Long awaited goal it was. Here's Felipe Anderson finding Pablo Zabaleta. Zabaleta jabs it down the line to Michail Antonio. Lovely turn. Noble lifts it up towards the far post, headed away by Smith. That was good approach play by West Ham United, but the final chip was just a little bit overcooked, and here come West Ham again. The noise levels just increase inside the London Stadium as Mark Noble comes forward and finds Antonio, who shoots on the turn. It's not a bad effort. He did really well, spun away from his man, and with his left foot curled it just too high. Good effort.
Yeah, terrific little turn on the right hand side, using his little toe to bring the ball back in onto his left, but he's always rising. To me though, he should have slipped on Arnautovic in. He made a really good run, diagonal run. He just needed a straight ball, and that's the quality I think Arnautovic is missing. It's very hard for him up there. I mean, Antonio just before that showed some good skill as well. He's certainly a player who's come on, because he was at Southampton when I was at Southampton. He was a young boy coming through. He had loads of muscle and pace and power, but his reliability and his quality was a bit questionable, but he's certainly improved his game since then.
Here's Smith finding Rowe, far side. Rowe just drifts infield. Looks a lively young player. Just his second appearance at this level. This is Bacuna who got the goal, finding Durm, who is rather forced away from goal, the former Dortmund player. Huddersfield almost got themselves in a tangle there, but Congolo has tidied it up and got it back to Jonas Lössl, one of the German contingent in this German-managed team, which has been German-managed for a few seasons now, with David Wagner having preceded Jan Siever, both of them formerly coaches at Dortmund. It's a poor clearance by goalkeeper Fabianski, and it's gone out of play midway inside the West Ham United half.
I don't know why he used his left foot there. I mean, he got the ball from his left defender, tried to open out to the opposite side, used his wrong foot and kicked it straight off the pitch. I mean, he's had a little bit of a shaky start, to be honest. Fabianski let that ball run through when he should have really been commanding. Some of his distribution has been slightly wayward as well.
Long ball forward by Huddersfield, chased in vain by Löwe. nearly 25 minutes. We're looking at Andy Carroll with his young son on his lap watching the game. There are big question marks about whether he'll be at West Ham. I mean, his injury problems have been legion, haven't they?
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the amount of football he has missed, and I guess the money that West Ham has spent on him and invested, and a bit like Jack Wilshere, just had no real return.
Well, they have got quite a few injured. So have Huddersfield, mind you. As you mentioned, they only had 15 players training earlier this week. Here's Anderson for West Ham. Good challenge by Rowe, and flicked away by Lerver. West Ham are without Yarmolenko long term, Wilshere, Carlos Sanchez, Winston Reid, and Andy Carroll. Huddersfield, no Laurent Depoitre, no Adama Diakabe, no Diamarco Duhaney. Plenty missing for them as well. No Schindler today either. Header forward towards Pritchard, who controls neatly on his thigh but does so in an offside position.
Another really good block there from Pablo Zabaleta. He's such a good fullback. I mean, I think we did the game, the West Ham Fulham one together,
yes, we did.
And he was superb there. I mean, he schooled, two highly rated fullbacks, Young, Joe Bryan and Ryan Sessegnon, and he was superb that day, Zabaleta. Again, he just gets in people's faces, blocks the ball, makes it really difficult to actually get anything into the box. So just looking at Felipe Anderson, I mean, he's got to liven up. I look at him when he loses the ball. Basically, he doesn't do anything. He just strolls around, struts. He has got that arrogance about him, but I tell you what, he's got to work harder off the ball.
Pablo Zabaleta, you mentioned 34 years of age now, the West Ham United veteran, of course, title winner with Manchester City, as well as having won the FA Cup and the League Cup, the World Cup runner-up. He's been there and done it all, and he's still doing it to good effect at West Ham United. Here's Declan Rice, infield to Manuel Lanzini, just inside his own half, 27 minutes gone. I'm not sure I can pronounce this. Odusanmi, is that right? It's raining here in Ibadan, Nigeria, but I'm enjoying the commentary so much. Thank you very much indeed. Apologies if I didn't get your name right. Your at is I am Odusanmi. That's correct. Yeah, you've got umlauts and accents all over it. But thank you very much for joining us. It's 1-1, the only game actually in the Premier League currently where we have goals. The other two are both 0-0. They're both important games involving the bottom clubs. Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 0, and Burnley 0, Leicester 0. But Leicester have had Harry Maguire, the England centre-half, sent off very, very early in that game for a straight red card. Professional foul. Here's Pablo Zabaleta finding Mark Noble for West Ham United. Cross it goes to Antonio, right hand side, looking to take on his man. He's been the most creative player. Clever dummy by Zabaleta, and Arnautovic I think was hoping that Zabaleta had continued his run, but it's not the sort of thing Zabaleta normally does, darting into the box like an inside right, but didn't find him.
It was a good dummy though from Zabaleta. Antonio again cutting in. Actually, I think he's better on the left hand side. He's out on the right today, but I prefer to see him out on the left, cutting in onto his right, maybe getting his shots off. He's always got Creswell who can go on the outside. I think Felipe Anderson would be better off on this side, the right hand side.
You're right about Felipe Anderson. Ever since he went down in the first minute and spent ages getting up, he doesn't seem to have shown any great desire to get involved in the game.
Well, to be honest, he rarely does, apart from when he's on the ball. I mean, there's been a couple of shots of him on the deck, and he takes so long to get up.
Here's Pritchard, centre midfield. Nice ball through to Carlin Grant, but West Ham, after a tussle in midfield, try and win the ball back, but they haven't. Pritchard has, and he's been brought down. It's going to be a free kick to Huddersfield Town.
Well, they played it out really well there, Huddersfield, just to find Pritchard in acres of space around the centre circle. Worked their way up the pitch, and then Ogbonna with it. Needless free kick. They've already shown that they're good at set pieces, haven't they?
Yeah, they've, funnily enough, West Ham and Huddersfield, I think, are the two worst conceders from set pieces in the Premier League, and West Ham have already conceded one today. We're just short of half an hour gone. There's a conversation going on between Pritchard, Moy and Carlin Grant. Carlin Grant, the young 21-year-old former Charlton Athletic player, looks like the player who wants to take charge of this set-piece situation. Moy is just shaking his head a little bit. Grant has walked away. It looks like it's actually going to be Pritchard to deliver, and he's cut it in towards Lerver. Lerver with a low cross, half deflected, chance, goal Huddersfield! They've scored again! Carlin Grant result has put Huddersfield into a 2-1 lead. Surely they're not going to survive the drop, but this could be a hugely morale-boosting afternoon for them. Clever free kick. West Ham didn't pick up. Lerber on the left-hand side, low ball in, and Carlin Grant swung his foot and guided the ball just inside the post, and it's West Ham United 1, Huddersfield 2. You don't see a Huddersfield away goal in a year and then two come along at once.
Well, they need to play in London more often, don't they? Like London buses, really clever, as you say. Not the cleanest of contacts by Carlin Grant, but Pritchard fakes the delivery into the box, and it came from a really sloppy foul from Ogbonna. He puts the ball out wide. Pritchard, good ball in from Lerv, and there's Carlin Grant again, though, in far too much space. A bit like Bakuna with the header.
Well, what will the home fans make of this? I mean, you know, this is potentially embarrassing, isn't it? Huddersfield are a second worst team away from home in the league. They've only taken 6 points on the road this season. They've now scored 2 goals in 31 minutes, having only managed 8 away from home in their previous 30 games. So this will be acute embarrassment for West Ham if they lose this game, won't it?
Not only that, but obviously even conceding 2 goals, you know, their problem is obviously they're clean sheets. It's only Fulham that are worse than them, so that's why I felt today would be a tricky game, because, you know, they're always susceptible, I think, West Ham, and their inconsistency and what they're playing for. To me, they should be playing for European football. They're not going to go down, they're not going to go up, but they're stuck in that sort of no man's land. I don't know how much is riding on this game, which is a worry.
Well, they shouldn't, West Ham, really be behind the likes of Watford and Wolves in the table, which is where they are at the moment. And they're 2-1 down against Huddersfield Town. Well, we've had, oh goodness me, Fabianski has missed the ball from a long ball up towards Grant, and Ogbonna behind him has had to knock the ball away. West Ham, you can hear the fans are extremely unhappy. That was strange goalkeeping. He came for it, and then he realised he's outside his box. He can't use his hands. He's ducked under the ball, and thank goodness for West Ham there wasn't a Huddersfield player running on, and Ogbonna was there just to tidy up. But that was shocking decision making, wasn't it, by the keeper?
Well, yes, and look, not for the first time. We saw that with the cross across the box. His distribution has been wayward. Look, he's had a lot of plaudits this season. £7 million signing. He's done really, really well. But I tell you what, I mean, that was awful. Playing as a sweeper keeper, as you say, just came rushing out of his box. All bounced over his head. He was lucky there.
Well, if Huddersfield win today, they'll be off the bottom, because they would have 17 points, level with Fulham, with a marginally better negative goal difference. Both of their goal differences are horrendous. Huddersfield's would be minus 37 to Fulham's minus 40. It's early days, of course. Here's Antonio for West Ham, who badly need to get back into the game before half-time. More groans from the East End faithful.
Oh, that's a flick. Yeah, another flick from Arnautovic, which doesn't find its intended target. Little 1-2 with Antonio, but too many of those tricks and flicks haven't come off today.
Still goalless in the other 2 games this afternoon. We'll bring you goals as they go in. So we've been spoilt here with 3. Huddersfield Town certainly been spoilt. They'd only scored 15 goals all season prior to today. They've now got 17. And West Ham United, well, I was told by a West Ham fan earlier that this would be the first time they'd ever won 3 consecutive games at this stadium, which is not a great record, is it, when you consider they've been here a couple of seasons, haven't they? 2-3 seasons now, and, you know, 3 wins at home in a row.
Yeah,
it's not spectacular.
No,
and yet
it's
they
not.
haven't managed it.
No, and we did say before that, though, that, you know, these are the sorts of games that West Ham will let you down in, and so it's been proved.
Yeah, they have, definitely. Fair play to Huddersfield. They've been quite lively, and you've got to take your hat off to Jan Siebert. He's made his changes, hasn't he? Okay, the youngster Rowe, who's come in, conceded a penalty, but other than that, he's looked sprightly, and the other youngster, Carlin Grant, it was a striker's finish, really. It wasn't the best strike you've ever seen, but he got enough on the ball to just guide it inside the post.
Well, look, it's nice when you're afforded that much space. Look, it wasn't the cleanest of contacts. It was a scuffed shot, but still, it was with his weaker left foot. directional. It was good. It was right in the far corner. Gave Fabianski no chance, but it almost trickled into the back of the net. Well, it won't be on goal of the month, that's for sure.
No, I don't think it will. It might in Huddersfield's goal of the month competition, because there have been so few. Probably win it hands down. Although you could argue that the header perhaps from Bakuna that preceded it was a better effort. Cleaner, certainly. West Ham in trouble. You can hear Yorkshire voices in the air at the stadium which hosted the 2012 Olympics in the east end of London at Stratford. There's a very, very plush and vast shopping city. A stroll from the stadium here. Here's Mikel Antonio, who has managed to ride a challenge and another, and then finally gets fouled by Juninho Bakuna. It will be a free kick to West Ham United in a useful position. We're inside the last 10 minutes of the opening half. Just a reminder, if you've joined us or if you're in America and you've not been up too long, there's a strike, and it's wide by Aaron Creswell, coming through on the left-hand side of the penalty area, hitting on the volley but hitting it wide.
Well, good ball into Arnautovic, who showed his strength in the air there. He's got real good physical power. It's a bright free kick early from Noble. Gets up well, Arnautovic, flicks it onto the box, across it. There's Creswell following up. I just wonder though, did young Rowe just give him a little nudge? Maybe put him off balance, skewed it horribly wide in the near post.
Another prolific scorer, Aaron Creswell. His last goal came against Manchester City back in April of last season. Quite middle that one properly. Here's Mark Noble heading forward to Lanzini. Moy does well. That's lovely play by him, and he's got it again in midfield. He's got a man outside him. It's Tommy Smith on the far side looking for support. Moy again. They're going backwards at the moment. Huddersfield. Moy's lost it to Felipe Anderson. Felipe Anderson driving forward down the left flank. Has to check. Plays a clever ball infield to Lanzini. Lanzini for West Ham tries to find Antonio, and it was very well intercepted indeed by the tall figure of John Gonek Stankovic. But here come West Ham again with Antonio wrestling with Grant and then flicking it wastefully out of play for a goal kick. But Felipe Anderson at last bursting into life.
Yeah, he just came to life there. Good little spin and cut back to Lanzini. Then he's drive with the ball, centre of the box. Arnautovic again made that little diagonal run. What he wants now is a straight ball. Instead, Lanzini tried to feed it out wide to Antonio. It was easily read and cut out. They've got to do better here, particularly in that final third. I mean, that's why they've signed the likes of Felipe Anderson. That's why Lanzini's in the team, because they've got that quality, but they've got to show it in that final third.
Actually, that voice you heard was Manuel Pellegrini, I think, shouting to Lanzini in Spanish. I thought I heard the word vamos, which means come on.
Liven up, I think.
Liven up. They do need to liven up West Ham. Huddersfield have played well, but they've given it away here in a potentially dangerous position. Arnautovic has got support from Anderson. It's a very poor ball. Arnautovic holds his head in his hands, the Austrian, back in the team today for Javier Hernandez, and he knows how poor a ball it was, because it wasn't a difficult ball. He just needed to push it and guide it out wide.
Well, that's that quality, too much on it. That quality in the final third. I mean, it started with Antonio, good hustling, working really hard. I think he realises they've got to up their game. One back possession, no, but then good ball into Arnautovic. He actually could have, I think if he's in form, he would have turned himself and gone for goal. He's off form, so he took too long on the ball. Really poor layoff. Ball's gone out of play.
Goal at Turf Moor. Let's hear about that from Andrew Self.
It's about 10 past the hour in penalty spot and centre spot at 12 o'clock. Madison takes it through the wall. Good save. No, it's gone in off the palm of his hands. It's a goal.
James Maddison for Leicester. There's been another goal there. We'll come back to that in just a moment, because West Ham are pushing forward as we approach half time, but they're going backwards at the moment. This is Angelo Ogbonna, the tall Italian centre half, pushing it down the line to Creswell, picking it up again, Ogbonna, and finding Lanzini. Lanzini, that's a good ball. Here's Arnautovic, he's offside. That was good play by West Ham, and a real pity for them that Arnautovic just straight into an offside position.
Yeah, just made his run fractionally too early though, Arnautovic, because he does have the pace, you see. He will get away from players. Yeah, he just got side on, didn't look across the line. He's a good yard offside. But at least he's facing the opposition goal. Too often today we've seen him with his back to goal, being that build, that wall to play off. But I'd like to see him a bit more like that, facing the opposition goal.
Well, another goal at Turf Moor. 10-man Leicester were a goal ahead. But let's find out what's happened there now with Andrew Self.
Played into the feet of Cork. Cork to his left to McNeil. McNeil further left to Charlie Taylor. Can he get the cross in? Back he goes to McNeil on the edge of the box. 1-1. Sweeps it in as cool as you like. Left-footed finish. Michael couldn't do anything about it. Firmly back on level terms.
What a piece there. Here's Pritchard for Huddersfield, who lead by 2-1 at the London Stadium. Finds Lerv back to Pritchard. Lerv chips it over the top towards Rowe. West Ham eventually will smuggle it away. So a couple of goals at Turf Moor in very quick succession, one apiece. Burnley, relegation threatened themselves, clawing themselves back into the game. You mentioned Dwight McNeil, didn't you?
Yes, he's a really talented young boy.
Yeah, he is. He's got the goal there to cancel out the free kick by James Maddison. Harry Maguire sent off. Here's Carlin Grant coming forward for Huddersfield Town. Tries to find Pritchard. Good tackle by Zabaleta. Good vision as well by Carlin Grant, although he might have played that ball a little earlier.
Oh, if he had done, he would have been in. Pritchard took too long. That was a really good chance. Had an overload there, Huddersfield.
Here's Anderson finding Antonio, swap flanks. He's over on the left-hand side now for West Ham United, on the edge of the penalty area, wants to shoot, not a good option. He's spooned it a long way over the crossbar when surely there were better options.
Well, I just said that, didn't I, about 5 minutes ago, in terms of what flank he's better on, and sometimes he's gone for it himself, and Arnautovic wants the ball. You know, what chance have you got when you got players? I mean, that was more like a rugby kick. I think he would have got a conversion for that.
Play Scotland at rugby this afternoon, and 3 teams. I don't know how much rugby union interest there is amongst our listeners, but England, Wales and Ireland can all win the Six Nations Championship today. Scotland's always a big game in any sports at any time. Here's Aaron Rowe getting away from his man and sliding it back to Tommy Smith. Smith hoists it forward. It's a very poor aim, this ball. Ogbonna will, with plenty of time, push it back to Lucas Fabianski. And now Noble out to Ogbonna. 2.5 minutes to go to half-time at the London Stadium, where the West Ham United supporters will not be enjoying their half-time cups of tea and chicken balti pies unless they can get something with the moments that remain.
Well, I think they've got to get the ball into Arnautovic a little bit more often, especially up against Stankovic. He's normally played as that holding midfield player. He's in the back line today, but surely he's got to try and isolate him.
Here's Creswell with the ball in, headed away by Terence Congolo. Now it's gone back to Lanzini and all the way back to Angelo Ogbonna, virtually on halfway. This is Diop finding Noble. Wild gesticulations from Jan Sievert down in the technical area as Huddersfield look to protect this lead going into half-time. Here's Lanzini finding Felipe Anderson. Good feet by him. Decent ball as well out to Pablo Zabaleta. Socks rolled halfway down his calves, going for the return. The ball is hooked away by Lerber, and they'll be keen to avoid a corner kick here, Huddersfield, and they've done that. The ball is not long towards halfway, where Diop finds Ogbonna. Ogbonna crosses the halfway line and finds Lanzini. Here's Anderson. Was he nudged? No, says referee John Moss. Huddersfield are on the counter here with Carlin Grant, who's found Pritchard. Pritchard clattering down by Zabaleta. That'll be a free kick, and just exactly really what Huddersfield Town wanted with a minute to go to the interval.
I mean, if I was a West Ham player, I'd be tearing my hair out of Felipe Anderson. I don't know how many times he's lost possession. He's flattered to deceive. He's appealing for the referee as if he should have got a foul. There's no way. He's just got to be aware of what's on the outside of him. He goes to ground, then he spends 5 minutes on the floor when he should be up. At least look, Zabaleta there. They lose the ball. He makes a foul, but at least he's getting back.
Well, it is a set-piece opportunity for Huddersfield Town to increase their lead before half-time. Pritchard winning the foul and making his way forward. It's Bakuna. It's not a very positive free kick. He's just knocked it all the way back to his centre halves. Congolo drives it forward. Here's Germ, but he's lost it. Mikel Antonio for West Ham finding Lanzini. Clever ball over the top, and that's brilliant by Felipe Anderson. Here's Aaron Creswell for West Ham United. He's got Anderson outside him. Anderson cuts it back to Creswell, who shoots. It hits Congolo. Creswell wants a penalty. I don't think it's a realistic claim. It clattered into Congolo, who, well, it certainly hit him. There was no movement of a hand towards the ball, even if indeed it did hit his hand, which is debatable. 1 minute to be added on, and West Ham United determined to make the most of it. It's Noble to Antonio. Antonio drifting infield finds Lanzini. Lanzini fit again after that awful injury. Tries to get it forward, but then it's intercepted by Aaron Moy. Huddersfield chip it away, not very convincingly. Here's Declan Rice. There may still be time for West Ham to launch one more attack on goal before John Moss blows his whistle. Here's Creswell, who had that shot a moment ago that was blocked. Here's Anderson into the box. Header by Antonio. Strong header by Congolo. Well, they're claiming a foul there. That was just sheer strength by the centre half. The fact that I think it was, I don't know who it was, went down, but it was just, he got there up and ahead of it. It was Lanzini, you're right. But it was no way of foul. Here's Arnautovic trying the back heel. Thumped away by Tommy Smith. John Moss's whistle is going to blow any minute. The ball is up the right end of the field as far as Huddersfield Town are concerned. Bonner has it. And that is half-time. Well, who'd have thought it? Boos from the West Ham fans, and unsurprisingly, Huddersfield Town, who haven't scored in any competition since Boxing Day, have got two here, courtesy of Juninho Bacchino with a header and Carlin Grant converting a cross by Love after Mark Noble had put West Ham in front. So surprisingly, at the interval, it is West Ham United 1, Huddersfield Town 2. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. Is the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. Happy Huddersfield, unhappy Hammers at half-time. The Premier League's bottom club could be off the bottom if they win this one, which they are at half-time by 2-1. One of 3 games that we've been following. 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League this afternoon. Let's get the action in the first half from all those games.
Michael Oliver's got a job to do here. It's a red card. 3 minutes into the game and Harry Maguire gets a red card.
Declan Rice into the box and a header off the top of the crossbar by Mikel Antonio. West Ham United very, very close to taking the lead.
Fraser shot across the face of goal. Smashed against the foot of the post. Brilliant opportunity for Bournemouth.
Here he comes, Mark Noble to give West Ham the lead and does so. Strokes it calmly down the middle. Chance for Huddersfield, they've scored. At last, it's Bakuno with the header from the Aaron Moy corner. Lerver with a low cross, half deflected chance. Goal Huddersfield. They've scored again. Carlin Grant, the 21-year-old, has put Huddersfield into a 2-1 lead.
Through the wall, good save. No, it's gone in off the palm of his hands. It's a goal. The 10 men of Leicester take the lead to McNeil. McNeil further left to Charlie Taylor. Can he get the cross in? Back he goes to McNeil on the edge of the box. 1-1. Sweeps it in as cool as you like. Left-footed finish. Michael couldn't do anything about it. Burnley back on level terms.
Well, the goal scoring doesn't actually end there because we've had a very, very late goal in the game between Bournemouth and Newcastle at the Vitality Stadium. Let's hear about that from Adam Inker.
Another opportunity to impress for the West Brom loanee. Steps up, drives it towards the top corner, and Solomon Rondon just before half-time breaks the deadlock. Curling effort from 30 yards. Should Boric have done better? Newcastle won't mind. They lead 1-0.
Well, that is a massive goal by Solomon Rondon right at the end of the half there. Bournemouth are the team that are sinking, and Newcastle, if they win that game, will go above Bournemouth into 12th place. Huddersfield Town currently, should they win, would be off the bottom with 17 points, but still surely doomed. It would still be a 13-point gap between themselves and Southampton. Burnley currently 1-1 at home to Leicester City, still not out of it because they would have 31 points if they were to win that game, and Cardiff, who don't play today, would have a game in hand. They have 28, so it's still all to play for, but Newcastle United look as if they've dug themselves out of that relegation scrap. Still much to be done, but 37 points you'd think would be enough. Let's pay tribute to Huddersfield Town before we talk about how poor West Ham were, David, because, you know, they're doomed. They know that. Everybody in the club knows that. Every fan, every player, the owners. But they've changed things around. They've named a new look team. They've brought youngsters in. And to be fair, you couldn't begrudge them a 2-1 lead at half-time.
No, absolutely. Look, we have seen them play a diamond at times, but today, obviously, away from home, they think, you know, let's go safety first and play a little bit more defensive. But obviously, we've got some attacking players on the pitch now who can maybe hurt West Ham, and so it's proved. I mean, Bakuna's been brilliant in front of the back four. They've had to adapt. Stankovic has dropped into the defence, but they've looked fairly comfortable. They've got a nice balance. Aaron Moy and Pritchard are always looking to get on the ball and make things happen. Young Aaron Rowe, apart from giving away the penalty, which was, you know, harsh, he's looked lively, and obviously Carlin Grant has popped up with a scuffy shot, but he still ended up in the back of the net. So, you know, plenty of positives. However, you know, West Ham have actually been, you know, the makers of their own downfall because they've been so sloppy. I mean, I have heard and I believe this is true, that, you know, the closer you get to the opposition box, the more perfect you have to be, right? So you've got to find your intended pass, your link-up's got to be really good, because there isn't really any space. Now, Huddersfield are defending, they get loads of men behind the ball, so it's hard for them to get through. So the likes of Arnautovic and Felipe Anderson, Lanzini, they've got to be really on it, but their link-up play has been so loose, too many wayward passes. You know, the weight of a pass, the return, the awareness, the appreciation of a pass when you give it to someone where you want it back, just hasn't been there.
Are some West Ham players thinking, well, we're safe, you know, we're not going anywhere really, we're not going to get relegated, we probably won't make Europe, we're 9th, foot off the pedal?
Well, possibly, although, you know, there's still plenty to play for in terms of if they want to catch 7th, you know, and that's where they should be. If they've invested 100 million, they should be up there with the likes of, you know, Wolves and Watford. Look, Watford are competing on 2 fronts, you know, so, you know, West Ham be thinking, well, hang on a minute, we're out of every cup, we're sort of just...
Humbled in the FA Cup as
humbled,
well, by
yes.
Wimbledon,
Yeah, just drifting along in the Premier League in 10th, but, you know, could they be doing better? I'm sure they could, but it's their inconsistency which is consistent. We know that.
Yeah. Well, we've got a West Ham supporter here in the office, you know, and he says it's just a classic West Ham. They just always seem to do it. There are games where you expect them to win and they blow it. They did it last week at Cardiff. It looks like they're doing it again.
Well, look, if you're a betting man, you know, obviously you'd think twice before putting money on them because of that inconsistency. And, you know, the likes of Felipe Anderson, that's why he's at a West Ham and he's not anywhere better. Or an Arnautovic, because, you know, when you need them to stand up and be counted, when they lose the ball, they don't do anything. They just sit there and moan. You know, at least Antonio, for all his faults, you know, and he maybe doesn't possess the same quality as those players, if he loses it, he does try and get it back. You know, at least works hard out of possession. I think they need a few more warriors, West Ham. At the minute, they've just got a few more, I guess, artists.
Well, if they lose today, I mean, they'd only be 2 points above the team in 13th. So that's nowhere near good enough. What about Manuel Pellegrini? I mean, they were, you know, after losing their opening 4 games, he steadied the ship, but they just seem to have drifted into a kind of comfort zone here, don't they, where they're neither going up nor down.
Well, look, certainly he hasn't sorted out the defence, because you'd expect today they'd be starting to try and keep clean sheets, because only Fulham have kept less. But no, they've conceded 2 really poor goals. The marking in the box has been atrocious. Look, they are missing some players. Winston Reid, you know, Sanchez, Yarmolenko, we know that. Balbuena, obviously, I think.
But they've been missing them long term, haven't they? Though?
Exactly. But if they were maybe fit, would they have been any better defensively? I'm not too sure. I don't know whether Pellegrini just focuses on possession, what they do with the ball, and maybe not so much without it, because to me there's a lot of parallels with them and Fulham. And Fulham only really cared this season what they'd done with the ball. They never really thought about, what sort of players have we got without the ball, and his signings show that, right? Your Lanzinis, your Felipe Andersons, there's a lot of players there with attacking intent, but maybe less so defensively.
Yeah, definitely. Balbuena, incidentally, is on the bench today. We've got the second half of this game coming up with much improvement needed from West Ham United. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million Predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million Predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot. What a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's running himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-0 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League Preview Show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of West Ham United against Huddersfield Town from the London Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former West Ham and Watford striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. Well, it's often the case when your team has underperformed that the manager sends you out early, and West Ham have been lined up for the restart for quite a while. Trevor Brooking, one of their most illustrious all-time players, must be shaking his head a little bit. It's a long way from the glory days when he was the maestro conducting the West Ham United orchestra in those days of the 70s and 80s. Huddersfield are now back out onto the field. Their supporters will be absolutely delighted with what they've seen so far. 2 goals away from home, the first goal since Boxing Day. You think about how long Boxing Day seems ago. That is how long Huddersfield Town have gone without scoring, but not anymore. They've hit the target twice today. West Ham United wearing claret shirts, white shorts, white socks. Huddersfield Town, the Terriers as they're known, wearing blue and white stripes and white shorts and black socks. Here's Arnautovic for West Ham United. No change yet for either manager. Lanzini to Creswell, gives it away. We were talking at half-time, David, about the possibility of maybe hooking one of West Ham United's underperforming first-half players and maybe bringing on Samir Nasri to see what he can do. Obviously a gifted player, but one who we haven't seen a huge amount of. In fact, Chicharito, Javier Hernandez, has come on at half-time. I beg your pardon, that one passed me by. He's replaced Arnautovic, so we can stay with the theme of whether Samir Nasri deserves his place, and also what difference Javier Hernandez might make to proceedings.
Arnautovic is up there, so whether they're playing maybe with a front two, might be like a 4-4-2 now, I think is a good call, because he needed to make a change. Said that, didn't we? A change has got to come. But look, even the likes of Declan Rice now giving away simple 5-6 yard passes. And look, the bubbles were blowing, but Huddersfield will certainly burst them here. Wow, it'll be interesting to see whether West Ham can turn it around. Fair play to Manuel Lanzini, who's decided that changes need to be made. Huddersfield trying to come forward with Carlin Grant, scorer of their second goal. In the back heel by him, it's gone out of play. Let me just clarify this substitution for you. It's Mikel
Antonio who's gone off. I do beg your pardon, I thought it was Arnautovic. Rush of blood to the head there from me. Still dizzy from Watford's FA Cup quarter-final victory, which I enjoyed enormously. But yes, it's Antonio off, it's Hernandez on. Aaron Moy guilty of a handball there. Looks like at the moment Hernandez playing just off Arnautovic, but
yeah, I mean, they've got plenty of attacking talent now. You know, Lanzini, Hernandez, Arnautovic, Felipe Anderson. He's really gone for it. It's almost like a 4-2-4 in effect, or it might be some sort of diamond. We'll have to wait and see how they're lined up here. But they need a response. Doesn't matter who's on the pitch. Need to put a performance in, show a bit of character here.
Noble forward. Here is Arnautovic, who I incorrectly substituted, but he's definitely on the pitch wearing number 7. It's number 30, Antonio, who's gone off. Just a reminder, Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 1. At the Vitality, Salomon Rondon in the 5th minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half, and Burnley 1, Leicester City 1. Leicester City, Harry Maguire sent off, James Maddison putting them in front, but 5 minutes later, Dwight McNeil equalising for Burnley, who are desperate for points down the bottom. Huddersfield, as we mentioned, will be off the bottom if they win today, although I was going to say Fulham have the opportunity to reverse that situation. However, Fulham are entertaining Liverpool tomorrow, which would seem unlikely that they would do that. I suppose the crumb of comfort might be not finishing bottom between those current bottom two. Here's Arnautovic finding Hernandez, trying to pick out Arnautovic again. Hernandez goes for the loose ball, half grabbed by Lerzel, who spilt it initially but then got back. The ball just broke a little kindly there for Javier Hernandez, who just for a split second, and he is a predatory kind of striker, thought he might nip in, and Lerzel held on.
Well, I was trying to play there, little 1-2 with Arnautovic, good little step over, went for the 1-2. Look, if he was a tiny bit quicker, I think he might have got on the end of that, but Lerzel got there first. He certainly lost a yard or two, Hernandez, but look, in the box he's deadly. Maybe not so often though, well, certainly not as regular that West Ham would like.
No, he's been a fantastic servant to his country. Obviously, he's the record goal scorer. He's only a third generation Mexican international. His grandfather and his father were internationals as well. He scored 59 goals in 157 appearances for Manchester United. So far this season he's only got 5 in 21. It's not a great strike rate, is it, for an out-and-out goal scorer, although he hasn't always started. This is the case today. At 5 minutes of the second half, Mark Noble intercepts for West Ham in midfield and looks around and spots Lanzini just inside, midway inside the Huddersfield half, finds Hernandez rather loose by him. Rose slices his clearance, no harm done. It's hoofed away by Durham. Back to Ogbonna.
Well, they camped in now, Huddersfield in their own half, clearing their lines just into the West Ham opposition. Facing a lot of early pressure here at the start of the second half. Oh, terrible pass.
Though, terrible pass by Declan Rice. Here's Pritchard finding Moy for Huddersfield Town. Aaron Moy clipping it back into Pritchard, who's edge of the box now. He's got a man out wide. The ball comes into the box. It's hoofed away by Lanzini from the left wing cross by Chris Lerve, and it goes out of play on the far side for a throw-in to Huddersfield.
Declan Rice has had a very indifferent game so far, hasn't he? A lot of misplaced passes, certainly for him, and maybe, look, that England call-up might be weighing on his shoulders a little bit. Well, it's a big moment for him. Obviously, he's played a little bit, certainly off the normal gas that he plays on.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to pick a West Ham player that's played particularly well, isn't it, really? Here's Huddersfield coming forward. Tommy Smith, it's a strong run by him. 1-2 with Pritchard. Here's Rowe, half tackled by Race, but he's kept the ball. West Ham making a meal of clearing it, and the referee's whistle has blown. It's going to be a free kick to West Ham United. No change in the other two games. Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 1, Burnley 1, Leicester City 1. Don't forget, we've got FA Cup action coming up for you at the conclusion of this one. Swansea against Manchester City, followed by Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United. Watford through after beating Palace 2-1 earlier. Here's Anderson for West Ham, into the box towards Arnautovic, but, well, in truth, not really towards Arnautovic. It should have been, but he's hit it straight to the near post where Jonas Lerzel made a straightforward claim.
Well, that's a terrible cross, but I said in the first half I'd like to see him out on the right-hand side. That's where he is now. Actually, he's taking the place of Antonio, but it's a really poor ball. Lanzini out on this left. They're basically playing a 4-2-4.
Yeah. Here's Aaron Cresswell for West Ham United, just getting infield of Aaron Rowe and finding Manuel Lanzini. Lanzini's swirling ball held away by Congolo. He's had a good game, Congolo. He's pretty dominant, hasn't he, in that central defensive area.
It's a really easy cross to defence. As I said, Lanzini's out on his left. He cuts in onto his right and plays an in-swinging ball. Now, they're so easy to defend, very hard to get on the end of. So He's got a couple of square pegs in round holes here, Pellegrini.
If Huddersfield win this, it'll be only their 4th league win of the season. I'm sure it won't be much of a crumb of comfort, but it would have been at the moment they're the joint worst team in terms of wins in the whole of English football. Ipswich Town in the Championship have also only won 3, so they could avoid sharing that unwanted crown. Here's Anderson for West Ham. Declan Rice centre midfield, finding Mark Noble. Noble clipping it away. It's headed away by Smith. And then Aaron Rowe just knocks it forward. It's a useful ball, actually, and it's come to Karlan Grant, and he leaves it for Bakuna. This is a good counter-attack by Huddersfield Town. Bakuna shoots! Oh, and it's a good save as well. It was a wonderful shot by Juninho Bakuna, scorer of Huddersfield Town's first goal, and it was an equally good save by Lucas Fabianski, who flew to his left and palmed it round the post.
Well, it's a brilliant strike. A super save as well from Fabianski. Looked like he's going in the top corner. Just gets his highest hand to it. He's got with a top hand there, Fabianski. I think he had to. Wouldn't have got it with his lower hand. Good decision. And Bakuna have a brilliant break. And that's the risk they run, West Ham, with this 4-2-4.
Yep.
When they lose the ball, I mean, they don't have the pace to get back. Noble, Declan Rice, you know, they're really struggling here out of possession. Look, Felipe Anderson, he's not going to track. Lanzini's not going to track. He's gone for it here, Pellegrini. He's got to be careful.
Aaron Rowe is struggling, the youngster who's his first ever start for Huddersfield Town. Shaking his head a little. He's picked up an injury and he's been helped off the side of the field, and I think it's going to be a substitution. The youngster's getting a big ovation from the Huddersfield Town fans. He's done all right. He gave away the penalty, but it's a big moment for him, and he's been replaced by Philip Billing.
It's not a bad backup though, is it, Billing?
It's a corner to Huddersfield. Aaron Moy is going to take it. Outswinger, deep, and again. Well, it was almost a free header for Bakuna again, but West Ham tried to counter-attack here. A good sliding challenge by Chris Love to make sure that Felipe Anderson wasn't going to get down that right-hand side where then he plays. Philip Billing has been the subject this week, regrettably, of some rather horrendous racist abuse on Twitter, which happily is being dealt with. Let's hope that's the end of that. Here's Declan Rice finding Mark Noble. Mark Noble chips it down the line. Useful for Arnautovic, but just bounces in front of the West Ham front man. Takes a bounce and goes into the gloves of Jonas Lörsel, the 30-year-old Huddersfield goalkeeper. Only one clean sheet in 8 now, 2 in 16. Following that Mark Noble penalty, but Huddersfield at the moment still have the lead. It's Bakuna. He's had a good game as well, hasn't he? Quite apart from his goal and that wonderful shot which was saved a moment ago. It might have been curtains for West Ham, you know, if Fabianski hadn't managed to get his hand out and push that wide.
Well, Diop as well, he's been really good, because when they lose the ball, they need him and Ogbonna to really win the ball back. There's no one else really with a defensive mindset, but Mark Noble's radar has been off today. He's tried a few times to pick out Arnautovic short and long, with that big diagonal, hasn't quite worked.
Here's Aaron Cresswell. There's been another goal at the Vitality Stadium, which I'll tell you about in just a moment, but West Ham are on the front foot here, midway inside the Huddersfield half with Cresswell back to the tall figure of Ogbonna. He's found Lanzini. Lanzini, who had that awful injury problem which kept him out of the World Cup and virtually the whole of this season. West Ham with Lanzini again looking for a square ball, finds Anderson out wide towards Zabaleta. It's not a particularly good ball, it's bouncing towards the corner flag and it's poked out of play. Let's find out what's happened at the Vitality Stadium. There's been a goal there, and here is Adam Inca.
Can Josh King score the equaliser for Bournemouth? King steps up and rolls it right down the centre for the equaliser for Bournemouth.
Penalty to Bournemouth converted, and they have levelled it up against Newcastle, who led through Salomon Rondon's late goal at the end of the opening half. So it's one apiece there. It's one apiece also at Turf Moor between Burnley and 10-man Leicester City. It's 2-1 here to Huddersfield. Pritchard tidies up in midfield and finds Bakuna, who drives forward. It's a great run by Bakuna, who still has it. Tries to play the ball into Billing. It wasn't quite what was desired, but Lacuna again is driving at the West Ham United defence and maybe overdoing it a little on that occasion, but they've won it again, Huddersfield. Billing out wide, crossed by Smith and diverted over his own crossbar by Ogbonna for a Huddersfield Town corner.
Well, the tide has turned here slightly. Huddersfield on the break, they've got bags of pace and they're very direct. You can hear the crowd also turning like the tide. They're expecting much better from their home side here, but they've been so disappointing.
They haven't enjoyed too many away days like this, have they, Huddersfield? The only time they've won this season away from the John Smiths was at Wolves. Here's Aramoy with a corner, a deep outswinger again. Header is won by Stankovic, who landed quite heavily and is hobbling and has gone down. They've already lost one player to injury. That doesn't look good because there was no contact there between anything other than his foot and the ground, but he looks as if he's jarred his left ankle in falling. We'll get another look at it here.
I think that should have been a corner as well.
Stankovic, before he went down holding his ankle, actually appealed for a corner which wasn't given. Mark Noble is coming off for West Ham United.
Well, I just wrote down there 5 minutes ago, do West Ham need Noble and Rice?
Yeah.
And I had a feeling that something had to change. Two defensive midfielders, they're going backwards, sideways too often. And again though, I think he's called it right, Pellegrini, but arguably at the start of the game, I'm not sure they were needed.
Can't quite see what happened to Stankovic there. He just seemed to land quite normally, but clearly he's incurred a little bit of damage to his ankle.
I just wonder where Nasri will slot in here, because if they're playing 4-2-4, what are they going to play now? 4-1-5, it looks like. You can't have
that really is throwing caution to the wind.
Well, they can't have any more attackers on the pitch.
We've had nearly an hour, and it's still West Ham United 1, Huddersfield Town 2, a scoreline which not many people, myself included, would have predicted. In fact, I was on a station in the Middle East before coming on air here to talk to them about today's games, and I predicted 3-0 West Ham. But unlike you, I'm not a betting man.
That's right, that would have been bold, I think, predicting that.
That was mainly based on how bad I expected Huddersfield to be, perhaps, rather than now, and also West Ham's decent home form. Back-to-back wins against Newcastle and Fulham. But losing at the moment. Huddersfield Town also this season have only taken 1 point from 8 games against London clubs, so this will be quite something in that respect as well. Here's Lanzini for West Ham, still trailing with over an hour gone. It's Aaron Creswell trying to get down the left-hand side, finds Lanzini, infield it goes to Anderson, but one thing Huddersfield have done pretty well today is they've kept their shape and they've managed to get plenty of men behind the ball when West Ham are attacking. Here's Arnautovic, Billing it. Hit his arm, I think, rather than him controlling it with it. West Ham have it far side. Pablo Zabaleta, diagonal ball by him, chipped in by Anderson. Again, it's an awful delivery from him. He's been desperately poor today, hasn't he? It went straight into the gloves of the keeper when he had time, he had space, and it just wasn't good enough.
Dreadfully disappointing. I mean, not only with the ball, but without it, he's offered absolutely nothing. But that's fine, I guess, as long as you're really good when you get the ball. But he's been awful.
Well, I mean, there are players. We've seen one in the cup tie earlier today. Gerard Delafay is another player who doesn't necessarily contribute a huge amount defensively, but at the moment is creating so much havoc for Watford that it doesn't really matter. But you'd expect more from Anderson, who isn't at the moment for West Ham. Palace were without Wilfried Zaha in that cup game. Nasri, incidentally, has come on wearing number 18 for West Ham United. It's only his 6th appearance, having joined the club on a free transfer from the Turkish club Antalyaspor. Here he is on the ball now, the former Arsenal and Manchester City man, title winner of course with the latter. There's now is that a pull? Well, the West Ham fans want a penalty and John Moss is having nothing of it. Aaron Creswell is adamant that he was being pulled back, and certainly there were hands on him. Whether he was actually actually being pulled or not is debatable. Here's Anderson coming forward, finally springing into life. Felipe Anderson, it's a great run. Arnautovic shot, good save. Didn't quite get hold of it the way he wanted to, Arnautovic, but that's what Felipe Anderson should have been doing more.
Yeah, that's more like it. Drive with the ball into the opposition half. Fantastic run. Makes the box actually, then gets his head up, spots Arnautovic. It's a difficult one to take though, really. He lifted it in the air and Arnautovic on the volley. It was a fairly comfortable save, but it was into the same corner as that Carlin Grant goal.
Just looking at that incident with Aaron Creswell grappling with the defender on the edge of the box, I don't think that's a penalty to you. He's got his arms around him, but he's not pulling him or pushing him really, he's just kind of holding him up. Here's Declan Rice, back to Angelo Ogbonna, left foot, big hoof forward from the Italian, headed away by Lerva. Now it's West Ham on the front foot. Hernandez finding Arnautovic. Now Zabaleta into Samir Nasri. Back to Javier Hernandez. The Mexican is just putting his hands out as if to say, where do I play it? Creswell is there. It's cleared his low cross. Creswell picks it up again just outside the Huddersfield 18-yard box. A lot of defending being done by the team who started bottom in the Premier League this morning. Arnautovic trying to wriggle free. Anderson tried to shoot, no space, good ball to Zabaleta. Zabaleta's ball is misplaced, intercepted by Congolo and then hoofed away, but the West Ham supporters just sensing something might be on, but it might be on at the other end now for Huddersfield Town, who've survived a little storm there, but they have the ball with Alex Pritchard driving towards the corner flag on the far side, under pressure from Anderson, comes back to Aaron Moy. Moy again centre midfield, and having had to defend stoically, which they did, Huddersfield are now just enjoying a little knock around which isn't pleasing the West Ham United supporters. Here's Congolo, that's lovely play by Carlin Grant. Grant to the edge of the box. Oh, what a goal! What a goal by Carlin Grant! Wonderful piece of individual skill, manoeuvring the position for the shot and then stroking the ball delightfully with the outside of his right foot into the corner. And with 65 minutes gone, the improbable scoreline at the London Stadium is West Ham United 1, Huddersfield Town 3.
Oh, what a fantastic strike. Carlin Grant, he's been a giant for Huddersfield today. He's led the line magnificently. Look, he's got plenty of goals in League One. Not many teams, I think, were willing to take a chance on him. He's got back to pace, he's strong, physical. Here he is, just holds it up. Great little turn. Then look, he's always trying to get it onto his right foot. He's fairly straight, middle of the goal. He's aimed it to the far corner. I've got to say, I don't think Fabianski's covered himself in glory here. I think he maybe could have done better. He made a good stop earlier, but that one, it's almost gone through his hands.
But not to detract from the set-up play. It was a little dummy, then a drag back, then a shimmy infield. Really, really good strike with the right foot.
But this time, look, he's gone with his top hand, I think, Fabianski, and it just brushed the top of it. I think he actually could have gone with two and palmed that away.
Carlin Grant has got two for Huddersfield Town, who've now got 3 goals in an away game, having not scored in the previous 6 in both League and Cup. Jan Sievert is still barking instructions. Juninho Bakuna is now hobbling. That's potentially a third Huddersfield Town player who's picked up an injury, although Stankovic is currently still on the field. Bakuna is applauding the visiting supporters who are having the time of their lives. Their only previous away win this season in the league was a 2-0 win at Wolverhampton Wanderers at the end of a 1-0 win against Wolves at the end of February. No, 2-0 against Wolves, I should say, in November. They won 1-0 against Wolves at home. They did the double over Wolves, so you must wonder how on earth that's possible against a team who've picked up so few points as Huddersfield. But basically, Huddersfield Town are on the brink of something rather special. It'll probably be too little too late. But I just wonder, David, have they belatedly found the striker that they've needed all season in Carlin Grant?
Yeah, possibly. Although it's come at a cost because another injury, it looks like, which I guess it's hard for them going into these final few games. And West Ham are also making another change.
Yeah, Arnautovic is coming off for them, and he's going to be replaced by Lucas Perez, a Spaniard who really hasn't set the Premier League alight either for Arsenal or for West Ham in his career in England. But, well, the visiting hordes from Yorkshire are now singing "We Want 4." I mean, this is acutely embarrassing for West Ham United. I think even probably the Huddersfield fans would admit that. You know, football fans have gallows humour, don't they? You know, we lose every week, and those kind of chants, you know, how bad the team must be if they're losing to us, sort of thing. Here's Zabaleta, though, and it's a chance for West Ham to get one back. It was pushed forward towards Zabaleta, who in the end saw his nudge cross gathered by goalkeeper Lursel. It was Zabaleta initially who instigated it, and then, well, it was an opportunity for West Ham. Lucas Perez just come on as a sub, got the touch initially. Zabaleta had a tight angle, couldn't really shoot, and in the end went for the cross. Here's Billing for Huddersfield. Good feet by him. Grant, who's on a hat-trick now, finding Pritchard. Pritchard heading for the corner flag, does well. Knocks it off the shins of Creswell. It goes away for a corner. Huddersfield Town fans, to a person, are standing and cheering and applauding. It's been such a long time coming. They've still got just under a quarter of the game to go, but they lead by 3 goals to 1, a position which few could have anticipated this morning.
And look, 59,931, nearly 60,000 here.
Big crowd, isn't it? Not many enjoying it at the moment. Aaron Moy with a corner to Huddersfield, an outswinger again. It's a header, free header, and it's Stankovic who got up and headed it wide. He's got just the 1 goal since arriving from Dortmund.
Well, he said Diop, I mean, he's just gone missing today in terms of picking up his man. Stankovic should have scored, free header, 7 yards out. And for the first time we've seen a Huddersfield player in acres of space in the box. No wonder they can't keep clean sheets, no wonder they can't win games.
Well, they're bringing off the man who's been their hero today, 21-year-old Carlin Grant. He's getting a standing ovation from the Huddersfield Town fans, and a good round of applause from some of the West Ham fans, to be honest, because he's been absolutely terrific. The second goal was a classic, and he's replacing a man, Steve Mounier, who was supposed to be the main goal scorer, but who's got as many goals this season as Carlin Grant has in this game, just 2. I mean, the statistics surrounding the Huddersfield Town strikers is quite astonishing, because young Grant has now become the joint top scorer for Huddersfield Town with 3. The other player who's got 3 is Matthias Jorgensen, who's a central defender. The rest of the supposedly goal-scoring players have contributed little or nothing. Kachunga hasn't got any goals. Mounier has got 2. Diakabi hasn't scored, but young Carlin Grant has got 2 today.
Well, they've basically got 20% of their goals in 1 game.
Yes.
So they had 15 up to now and 3 today.
Absolutely astonishing.
Against, you know, the gift, as we heard earlier, the gift that keeps on giving, that is West Ham.
Yeah. Here's Lanzini. Gets away from Billing, plays the ball through. It's cut out, though, neatly by Jason Punchin, who incidentally is the player who's come on to replace Carlin Grant. Punchin, of course, an experienced Premier League campaigner with Southampton, and he's currently on loan from Crystal Palace. Would you believe he hasn't scored since he scored in the FA Cup final for Palace against Manchester United nearly 3 years ago?
Well, I played with Jason at Southampton. He is a really good player, but it hasn't really worked for him at Palace this season or on loan at Huddersfield, but he's got a job to do there today. Just slotted into the midfield alongside Billing and Moy, just being a little shield in front.
His parent club knocked out of the FA Cup today by Watford, 2 goals to 1 for the Hornets, who will take the first berth in the semi-finals. You can find out later on 2 of the teams who will join them. Swansea City from the Championship against Manchester City. They must be trembling after City put 7th past Schalke in the Champions League in midweek, and then of course it's probably the pick of the FA Cup quarter-finals. Wolves against Manchester United. That'll be an intriguing clash. Wolves are having a great cup run, and Manchester United, of course, second only to Arsenal in the number of total FA Cup wins for any club. Other goals to tell you about in the second half of our other featured games. Hussein, CFC Aden. I don't see Huddersfield holding on to their lead before full time. Listening from Lagos, Nigeria. Well, West Ham need two to deny them that victory. It would only be their fourth of the campaign in their 31st game. Here's Billing, strong run, good tackle though by Declan Rice, and now Antonio finding Nasser, who's clearly having his shirt pulled, and immediately John Moss reaches for his pocket, and Alex Pritchard will be yellow carded for Huddersfield Town, and understandably so.
Yeah, just a little tug back there on Nasri. I think Pritchard felt he should have had a foul earlier. He didn't get it. It's not a bad place to commit one though, is it? Deep in the West Ham half.
Well, West Ham potentially back-to-back defeats against two of the bottom three in consecutive weeks. That's pretty poor. I mean, I think losing at Cardiff, you could possibly put that down to a bad day at the office. Cardiff are much better at home than they are away. They're in a desperate situation, unlike Huddersfield. Cardiff probably still do have a glimmer of, maybe more than a glimmer of hope of staying up. But I mean, to lose 3-1 at home to Huddersfield Town is quite shocking, really. Anyone would have predicted it. Here's Anderson trying to get West Ham back in the game. His cross is cleared away by Stankovic.
But it's a good ball, you know. Just Lucas Perez caught on his heels, not making a run across the near post. Just allows Stankovic to clear, and you can hear the crowd. You know, they're no mugs. They know that a centre forward on the move in the box might have got on the end of that.
Yeah. Here's Ogbonna. Way towards Anderson. 15 minutes to go. Cross was fired in by Lucas Perez, who's won his team a corner. Perez only got he's got 5 goals this season, though mainly in the FA Cup. Creswell will take the corner with his left foot. It's an outswinger. There's the header, and it's in. Ogbonna has got West Ham United back into the game. Desperate attempt by Aaron Moy to clear it off the line, but he could only hit it into the roof of the net. And Angelo Ogbonna, the big Italian centre-half, gets his 3rd goal of the season. And it's West Ham United 2, Huddersfield 3.
Ogbonna rose highest. They got up really well around the penalty spot. Good ball, good delivery from Creswell, and he heads it back where it came from, down along the ground, just skips up off the turf. Out jumps Terence Congolo. Well, that makes it a little bit interesting, doesn't it, these final 15 minutes?
Well, unsurprisingly, two of the worst teams in the Premier League at defending set pieces has both conceded from a set piece. That was a similar goal to the one that Juninho Bacuna got for Huddersfield Town in the first half. So the West Ham fans, after a pretty torrid second half so far, have got themselves back in it. Jan Siebert, hands on hips, thinking, oh no, not again. But they still lead. But West Ham will be buoyed by that goal. They've got 14 minutes left plus stoppage time. Here's Creswell. You can hear the ambience inside this stadium just increasing and becoming more pressurised as West Ham sense that they've got a chance. It's been a hugely entertaining game. 5 goals we've had so far. We've still got plenty of time left for a couple more, but which way might they go? Here's Samir Nasri. Creswell for West Ham, finding Felipe Anderson. Creswell getting the cross in across the face of goal. It's another example, David. Nobody gambled and nobody pushed forward. It's been kept in by Zabaleta on the far side, but Huddersfield have won it back. You made exactly the point a moment ago. If someone's gambling and attacking that ball, it wasn't a bad ball.
No, it's a really good ball, but you know, they've got 2 centre forwards there. Someone's got to gamble and run across the near post. Look, it's right along the 6-yard line in a really good place.
Absolutely. Here's Anderson. You just get the feeling it's going to be a very long 13 or 14 minutes for Huddersfield Town. West Ham want a free kick. They've got it. Anderson pulled back. John Moss is reaching for his card. And it's a yellow, which has been shown. Is it Billing?
Billing was
Smith is talking to the
Smith is talking to him, but Billing just gave a little tug on Felipe Anderson's shoulder, and I just wondered, it is within shooting range. Anderson might fancy this.
Yeah, it was a rather cynical one. He's pulled him down and not allowed him to get onto the through ball. West Ham United fans have found their voices at last. There's a conversation going on. The ball is going to be placed about 25 yards from goal to the left of centre. Ogbonna, who's just found the net with a header from a corner, is among those in the penalty area. It's Creswell and Felipe Anderson discussing it. Looks like Anderson, by his body language, I would think, to try and curl it in right-footed. He hasn't done very much today. He kind of owes West Ham something special, doesn't he?
He does. But I mean, it's quite windy out there. I think this would be hard to do. I mean, looking at the wall, they've got a little punching in there.
It's a long way out. It's Felipe Anderson. He's gone for goal. It's straight in low into the wall. It comes out to Nasri, whose volley is blocked as well. And Huddersfield do the clearing job. But Creswell has it midway inside the Huddersfield half. You get the impression this is where most of the action is probably going to transpire in the last 11 and a half minutes. Zabaleta for West Ham, finding Rice. Rice plays it back to Ogbonna, who's on halfway. Forward to Samir Nasri. Nasri's got two to his left-hand side. Finds Hernandez. Out it comes to Aaron Creswell. Creswell does well to get past Punchin, gets to the byline. The cross is useful. Congolo doesn't get much of a touch. It comes to Zabaleta. Back in it goes. It's missed by another Huddersfield defender, but eventually cleared by a third. Anderson to Hernandez. To Anderson. Good tackle on the edge of the box. It's absolutely harum-scarum around the edge of the Huddersfield Town penalty area, but Jonas Lossell has a massive smile on his face as he drops onto the ball, the goalkeeper, and says, oh, thank goodness, at last a breather. And there's an injury to Terence Congolo, so the goalkeeper has thrown the ball out of play, and that will rather take the wind out of West Ham's attacking sails.
And let's hope he's okay here, Congolo.
Yeah, they've got all three subs on, haven't they?
Yeah. And just looking at the goalkeeper Lozell's towel that he uses to dry his hands, it came blowing across the pitch. That shows you how strong this wind is.
Storm Gareth is sweeping the nation. Congolo doesn't look great. He's got two of the Huddersfield Town medical staff. I mean, they've surely got a rear guard action to...
That looked like a foul, didn't it? He's gone in two-footed there on Felipe Anderson.
Many appeals from West Ham United.
Look at that.
He's scraped the ball away, but he's gone in high. It's one of those ones where he's followed through. Nobody appealed in a West Ham shirt. But Congolo is feeling the effects of that, but he'll have to soldier on, I think, unless it's a really bad one, because, as I've mentioned, Billing, Mounier and Punchin are all on, so there's no more subs up Jan Sievert's sleeve. No more goals anywhere else. In the second half today, it's still Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. Rondon put the Magpies in front in the 50th minute, but that was at the end of the first half, deep in stoppage time, and then 3 minutes into the second half, Josh King converted a penalty to put Bournemouth level. It's also one apiece between Burnley and Leicester. Leicester had Harry Maguire sent off after 4 minutes. James Maddison converted a free kick, and then Dwight McNeil has made it 1-1. Here, I'm glad we picked this one. This has been by far the most entertaining by the sounds of it. We have 9 minutes left. Well, no, I'm talking about neutrals, but 9 minutes left and we've had 5 goals. But Huddersfield very much on the back foot at the moment. Ogbonna forward, headed square by Huddersfield, but Declan Rice has picked it up and finds Aaron Creswell near side halfway line to Felipe Anderson, back to Angelo Ogbonna, man whose goal has put West Ham potentially back in the game. Here's Hernandez finding Zabaleta, back to Javier Hernandez. He's got Lanzini close by. Huddersfield again are doing a good job of getting everyone back behind the ball and not allowing West Ham a way through at the moment. It's had to go back to Declan Rice, who's deep inside the Huddersfield half. Here's Felipe Anderson, now on Bonner, and Rice again. This is patient from West Ham. They're running out of time. Pablo Zabaleta far side. Here's Nasri. Back to Zabaleta again. The Argentine former Manchester City man plays a square ball to Declan Rice. Back out to Zabaleta. He's got a bit more space this time. Finds Nasri near corner, or rather far corner of the 18-yard box, trying to find space for a cross. Will do now. It's a better one. It finds Creswell, who controls and wins a corner. It's come looping up off the back of Eric Durm, and West Ham fans who scored from their last corner will be hoping that they can do likewise from this one.
Well, they struggle, I think, when the ball's wide in open play. They don't really have the height up top, but now from a set piece they do.
Here it comes. It's a deep outswinger from Creswell. Too deep, really. But Nasri has done really well to win a battle for the ball there with Stankovic. Nasri into the box. Chance, goal! Javier Hernandez with a diving header. It's 3-3. Terrific goal by the little Mexican substitute. And Huddersfield have seen their 2-goal lead wiped out. 7 minutes to go. It's West Ham United 3, Huddersfield 3.
Well, the little P perfectly placed at the back post. Kept it alive there, Samir Nasri. Fed the ball out wide. It's a brilliant ball to the far post. There he is, totally unmarked, 6-yard line, in line with the back post. Heads it down, back across goal, as you're taught to do. Fantastic. Well, it's all set up now, isn't it?
Well, he scored his 50th Premier League goal in his last appearance against Fulham, and he's got 51 now. Well, we've got a very entertaining final 6 minutes left. Just wondering about Huddersfield. They lost another player to an injury. We'll confirm that in just a moment. It's 6 minutes to go, and Huddersfield, who were leading by 3 goals to 1, are now level at 3-3, and it's a goal kick to West Ham. Well, the goal was coming, wasn't it? It was a tide of pressure from West Ham United. Javier Hernandez, who's on loan, who's scored his 6th goal of the season with that diving header. It was well taken. It wasn't very well defended. It was a great cross by Nasri, but Hernandez was on it. Oh, that's a very heavy touch by goalkeeper Fabianski, which almost conceded a corner kick. 5 minutes to go at the London Stadium. It's 3 apiece. It's been a terrific game. T.OO Ogunrinde says West Ham United unreliable defence. You can say that again. But they've managed to get themselves back, and they're looking for a winner here. Ball pushed forward by Lanzini. Defended for the time being by Huddersfield Town. Philip Billing with a strong run out of defence and has found a way forward. Here's Durm, but backtracking, which he hasn't done very much today, was Felipe Anderson to just snuff out the danger. We're in for a grandstand finish. 3 apiece. All 3 Premier League games currently, I think, are level. Yes, it's Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1, Burnley 1, Leicester 1, West Ham United 3, Huddersfield 3. So the relegation threatened sides are all just going to pick up a point unless we get more late drama. Wouldn't count it out here. Whoa, hang on. There's been a goal at the Vitality. It's Bournemouth against Newcastle, and here's Adam Inca.
Here comes King, motoring in to the Newcastle half, trying to thread that pass through towards Wilson, picked up here by Solanke, trying to find a yard to shoot, still has possession. King now finds the far corner, and it's a second goal for Bournemouth. They lead here 2-1.
And a second goal for Josh King. So Newcastle, who led at half-time, are now trailing. So, well, they felt, perhaps, the Magpies, that they might find a way out of that desperate relegation scrap, but they've been pegged back by Bournemouth. And, well, maybe a little bit more work to do for Rafa Benitez men, although we're reaching the closing stages there as we are here. That's a foul on Issa Diop by Steve Mounier, the Benin international, who's only got 2 goals in 30 games as an out-and-out striker. Jan Sieber is hands on hips, must have been dreaming of a long overdue away win at 3-1. That lead is gone.
Yeah, he just doesn't know where to kick it though, Fabian. The crowd getting on his back, but he doesn't have any real height up there. So look, straight to Kongolo, wins the first header.
Kongolo, who is fit, having gone down injured a moment ago. Zabaleta gives it away to Pritchard. Here's Mounier finding Moy for Huddersfield Town. Are they going to perhaps have the last laugh? This is the tall figure of the substitute, Philip Billing. Aaron Moy does well to find a way through down the left-hand side past Lanzini, not once but twice. And he still has it, Moy, and that's a good ball. Pritchard needs a good cross. Mounier is in the box. Here's Moy looking to get the cross in. Does eventually, and it comes up off Issa Diop, and Huddersfield Town have a corner.
Well, they just need to, I was just going to say, they need to keep the ball on the deck, West Ham, when they can, and build play in the opposition half. When they're going from back to front from Fabianski like it is here, they just can't retain it. I'm sure if they're getting around that Huddersfield box, they might get one more opportunity. As it is, they've got to defend this corner.
Aaron Moy is a good deliverer of corners with that right foot. It's going to be an in-swinger from the Australian. In it comes. Good header away, though, by Zabaleta. Pritchard retrieves it for Huddersfield, then plays a bizarre, huge up and under. We were talking about rugby earlier. That belonged on the rugby field as well. Here's Jason Punchin, though, for Huddersfield. That's a clever ball. It's a chance! And it's not taken, nor is the follow-up by Punchin or by Mounier and Billing. They all had a chance to score and none of them did. Originally it was saved by Fabianski, it came out, Billing had a go, so did the follow-up effort, and that one went wide. And Huddersfield, well, it's not hard to see why they've scored so few goals this season, this week notwithstanding. That was a golden opportunity to win it at the death, and they haven't taken it. It came in the 89th minute. Jason Punchin, as we mentioned, hasn't scored since a cup final goal in May 2016. Following up and missing. Here's Nasri for West Ham. Will Huddersfield pay for that? It's been a fantastic game in terms of excitement. Not always been of the highest quality, but it's been a decent watch. Here's Lanzini finding Zabaleta. Can West Ham maybe produce something in the final minute of the 90s? Zabaleta again. Nasri, who set up the equalising goal for Hernandez. Going down a blind alley at the moment, but he's turned and under pressure from Mounier, tried to swivel away and find some space. He still has it, Samir Nasri. He's eventually found Declan Rice, who picks out Angelo Ogbonna. We're into stoppage time, 5 minutes of it, so there is still time for a winner. Ball knocked away, but only as far as Felipe Anderson, deflected shot. Well, that's going to be a corner, I think, for West Ham United. And the roar around the London Stadium from a 60,000 almost strong crowd, the majority of which are supporting the home side, of course, tells you that there's a big opportunity here. Corner is taken short to Felipe Anderson, who chips it into the box. It's in! West Ham United have done it! And it's Javier Hernandez again! Another header from the substitute. And in stoppage time, West Ham United have gone from being 3-1 down to leading by 4 goals to 3. You have to feel sorry for Huddersfield Town. What an afternoon at the London Stadium. It's West Ham United 4, Huddersfield 3.
Well, Hernandez the hero, but it's a really clever set play from Aaron Quezwell. Looked to deliver it into the box, realised that actually Felipe Anderson was completely unmarked, so cut it back to the edge of the box. One touch out of his feet, just lifted it into an area just about 7 yards out. Lozil comes flying out of his area, and Hernandez, the little P, with a delicate faint flip behind him into the far corner. What a fantastic finish. That man, he just comes alive in the box.
Well, he's got 2 goals, and famous goals for West Ham United. Unfortunately for him, the player marking him was Christian Löw, who's one of the shortest players on the pitch. He's not the tallest himself, Javier Hernandez. But it looks like a West Ham victory against all the odds. They were booed off at half-time. Let's go to Turf Moor. There's been another goal there for Andrew Self.
Ricardo Pereira down the line to Tielemans, crosses again, loops up, chance of a goal, it is a goal! And on his 700th appearance, Wes Morgan has completely broken the hearts of Burnley.
Well, the free kick comes in. Desperate measures now for Huddersfield. Their goalkeeper, Jonas Lörsel, has gone up for this free kick. It's been knocked away by West Ham. Fabianski just clawing it away. Burnley deep in trouble, losing at home to 10-man Leicester City. Huddersfield Town losing here, and Newcastle United losing. We did say it could all change. They were all level, those relegation threatened sides, but they are all still deep in trouble. Huddersfield doomed surely. Aaron Moy with the corner. It's only half cleared by West Ham. There's a flick on by Billing, away by Ogbonna, but up. And then the goalkeeper gets a touch. They don't have a keeper at the moment. Huddersfield Town and West Ham not able to benefit from that. It's an absolutely extraordinary finale here. Luckily, Huddersfield had left the defender back. Otherwise, Javier Hernandez would have walked the ball into the net for a hat-trick. But they had a covering defender who hooked it away from him. We've had 3.5 minutes of stoppage time. What a climax to the Premier League Saturday it's been. Just a reminder, Burnley losing, Newcastle losing, and Huddersfield Town losing. We've just seen a replay of that moment when Congolo, Billing and Puncheon all missed presentable chances. Your heart goes out to them. They've played pretty well today. They've scored 3 goals away from home, which, as you said, is a fifth of the goals they'd managed previously in the season, and yet it looks as if they're still going to be defeated. They're going to stay on 14 points. If they lose 2 more games, I think I'm right in saying they will be mathematically down, Huddersfield. The next game, Crystal Palace away and Leicester City at home. If they lose those 2 games, by my mathematics, they will be mathematically relegated. It's well, I said at the start of the programme, it's when rather than if. But you have a shred of sympathy for them, don't you? Because they battled hard today, and they perhaps deserve a point.
Certainly, and obviously Puncheon there could have won the game, and I guess Siva would probably be seething that they were up and have conspired to lose
now
this.
Then, here's Felipe Anderson coming forward with Lucas Perez for company for West Ham. The ball is played across. It's only half clear. Perez is there, but eventually Congolo puts it up towards halfway. Back by Ogbonna. Credit to West Ham. They're going for a fifth rather than running it into the corners. It'll be relief for them, though, because overall they haven't played very well, but they've won it dramatically from 3-1 down. Javier Hernandez with a double late on. Mark Noble had given West Ham the lead from the spot. Bakuna and then a double from Carlin Grant put Huddersfield 3-1 up. Then Ogbonna headed hammers back into it, and 2 headers from Javier Hernandez have made the final score. West Ham United 4, Huddersfield 3 in an extraordinary game. They're still playing at the Vitality. Let's go there. Bournemouth Newcastle with Adam Inca.
Watch it go over their heads. It's smashed away by Klein up towards halfway. Dummett calmly knocks the ball over the head of King, receives his own pass, and it's controlled by the hand of Mutu. Do you know what? That might just be it. Surely Bournemouth should be able to see out the clock from here. 2-1 they lead. A win would take them 6 points away from Newcastle. 6 points off of that tally of 46, their best ever in the Premier League. Sometimes you need luck in football. Bournemouth certainly have had that this afternoon. Artaborich with the free kick, slips on the turf, but he manages to get enough on the delivery to send it up towards the other end. Out for a Newcastle goal kick. Dubravka races across. One final throw of the dice, but the whistles will now go up around the Vitality. Home fans calling for the whistle from Mike Dean, who will have to wait for another day before issuing his 100th Premier League red card, unless we have any afters after the final whistle, of course. Yedlin delivered into the area towards the far post. Ritchie there! Oh my gosh! Against his old club, Matt Ritchie grabs the equaliser right at the end of this game. Caught it on the volley, to spill over onto the side of the field. And Eddie Howe hangs his head. A lapse in concentration at the back allows their former player Matt Ritchie to smash the ball beyond Artur Boruc. And right at the end of this game, you might call it justice. Sent forward by Dummett. Wrestling for the ball was Rondon with Lerma. It goes out towards Yedlin on the right hand side, delivers into the area. Klein did not judge the header, allows Ritchie to come in at the far post, and it's dispatched with the left foot beyond Artur Boruc, who was flying across towards his right hand side. Brilliant finish from Matt Ritchie. Well, he did it time and time again for Bournemouth. 31 goals and 142 appearances, and on this occasion he's back for Newcastle, and surely, well, there it is, the equalising goal to calm Rafa Benitez's nerves. I'm sure he'll still have a few things to say in the press conference after this one.
Well, Adam, thank you. What a great time to join that game. There were just seconds left, and we've just watched on our monitors that Ritchie goal. Fantastic volley by the former Bournemouth man. What a precious point for Newcastle United. I think that'll take them on to 35-7 above the drop zone. Burnley have been beaten despite playing 87 minutes against 10 men at home to Leicester. That is a shocking result for Burnley, who have 30 points, just 2 above Cardiff City. David, we've watched an amazing game here, haven't we? 7 goals. Huddersfield Town lose again, but they lose with their heads held high.
Yes, they do, I guess. Jan Sievert probably think he'll say it's a missed opportunity, which it was. I mean, when you score 3 goals away from home, you expect to take 3 points. But I guess there's those frailties, and look, you've got to credit West Ham as well. They played their part. It wasn't a vintage performance, but you know, the changes worked. They were bold, they were brave, and they certainly paid off.
And well, West Ham United papered over the cracks a bit, just briefly, David. Not the best performance, but they got the win.
Well, yes, look, it's nice, I guess, you bring on the likes of Hernandez, the little fox in the box, and Nasri's got real quality, hasn't he? I guess some of those players' performances will certainly need to raise. You know, their defending would be concerning because they look vulnerable at every set piece, whether it's just delivered in the box or taken quickly and short. So, look, no surprise, because they haven't, them and Fulham, they're the worst at keeping clean sheets in the league. Yeah. But what they do possess are some really good footballers, certainly when they're on their game and in possession. The worry for West Ham fans is, at possession, they're awful.
Well, Huddersfield, 14 points. They stay bottom. If they lose 2 more games, they are down. They are, all bar the shouting, really, but mathematically they will be relegated. David, my thanks to you for being alongside me. It's been an entertaining game, no doubt about that. We've had 7 goals at the London Stadium. I'll be back in just a moment to take you around the grounds. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Premier League Preview Show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. Is the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, makes a shot. What a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester.
Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City, out of nowhere, have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the Ultimate Football Fan Tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
Premier League Live with TalkSport.
You're listening to Premier League Live. I'm your host, John Anderson. Coming up, we've got full coverage of Swansea City against Manchester City in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Plus, we'll reflect on all the action from this afternoon's Premier League and FA Cup football. And first of all, though, we need to find out what is the team news from the Liberty Stadium. Our man watching Swansea against Manchester City will be Matt Davis-Adams. Matt, what can you tell us?
Well, Manchester City show 4 changes from the 11 that started against Schalke on Tuesday. In come Otamendi, Delph, Jesus and Mahrez. They replaced Danilo, Zinchenko, Sterling and Aguero. Those 4 all on the bench. It's Fabian Delph's first start since January. David Silva, the only City player involved today who played the last time they won this competition in 2011. As for Swansea, one adjustment to the side that lost at West Brom on Wednesday for them. Jay Fulton comes in for the injured Kyle Norton, with Matt Grimes moving to left back. They're without their top scorer Ollie McBurney. He's out through illness. Bersant Salina plays against the club he left in the summer. You can get 25-1 on the home side.
I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, it's hard to make a case for Swansea at full strength. They'll miss McBurney, though, won't they? He's been excellent this season.
Yeah, and so they're going to play Daniel James through the middle. He's only scored 3 goals this season, but I mean, you look at the strength of City's bench. Even if Swansea did go ahead, they've got Raheem Sterling, Sergio Aguero, Phil Foden to bring on should they need them. You know, on paper it looks like a simple task, but who knows, magic of the cup and all that.
Look forward to hearing your commentary. Got Clive Walker alongside you. Matt will be live at the conclusion of this in about 20 or so minutes time. Well, let's reflect on what we've had on a fairly hectic and sort of heart-stopping finale to the Premier League Saturday in terms of the 3 o'clock kickoff. Here is the action from all of the games today.
Michael Oliver's got a job to do here. It's a red card 3 minutes into the game, and Harry Maguire gets a red card.
Here he comes, Mark Noble to give West Ham the lead, and does so. Strokes it calmly down the middle. Chance for Huddersfield, they've scored. At last, it's Bakuna with the header from the Aaron Moy corner. Lerber with the low cross, half deflected chance. Goal, Huddersfield. They've scored again. Carlin Grant
Through the wall, good save. No, it's gone in off the palm of his hands. It's a goal. The 10 men of Leicester take the lead to McNeil. McNeil further left to Charlie Taylor. Can he get the cross in? Back he goes to McNeil on the edge of the box. 1-1. Sweeps it in as cool as you like.
Steps up, drives it towards the top corner, and Solomon Rondon just before half-time breaks the deadlock. King steps up and rolls it right down the centre for the equaliser for Bournemouth.
Grant to the edge of the box. Oh, what a goal! What a goal by Carlin Grant! And with 65 minutes gone, the improbable scoreline at the London Stadium is West Ham United 1, Huddersfield Town 3. Creswell will take the corner with his left foot. It's an outswinger. There's the header, and it's in. Ogbonna has got West Ham United back into the game. Nasri into the box, chance goal! Javier Hernandez with a diving header. It's 3-3.
Towards Wilson, picked up here by Solanke, trying to find a yard to shoot, still has possession. King now finds the far corner, and it's a second goal for Bournemouth. They lead here 2-1.
Chance of a goal, it is a goal! And on his 700th appearance, Wes Morgan has completely broken the hearts of Burnley. But Leicester City go 2-1 up.
Anderson, who chips it into the box, it's in! West Ham United have done it! And it's Javier Hernandez again!
Towards the far post, Ritchie there! Oh my gosh! Against his old club, Matt Ritchie grabs the equaliser right at the end of this game, and Eddie Howe hangs his head.
Well, because of the FA Cup, we've only had 3 Premier League games today, but my goodness me, they were all exciting ones, and fantastic finish for Newcastle, grabbing a point against the odds, and Burnley losing at home to Leicester, Huddersfield in a dramatic 7-goal thriller at West Ham United. We've got the 2 we heard from Matt Davis-Adams a moment ago, Swansea, Manchester City. We've also got commentary on Wolves against Manchester United. But one club are already through into the draw for the semi-finals of the FA Cup 2018-19, and that is Watford, who have beaten Crystal Palace earlier today at Vicarage Road. A game watched for us by Barry Swain.
Watford are back off to Wembley, seeing off a disappointing Crystal Palace on home soil to book a place in the last 4 beneath the Wembley Arch. After a scrappy, disjointed opening, Watford took control and took the lead on 27 minutes. Etienne Capoue ramming home from a corner after a Gaeta error. Palace were better second half, finding an equaliser when Mariappa's mistake let in Michy Batshuayi, who finished well past Gomez. With extra time looking likely, Watford threw on a second substitute, a second striker, and it immediately paid off. Andre Gray, virtually his first touch, firing home, slicing into the corner with 11 minutes to go after wonderful work from Roberto Pereira. Final score at Vicarage Road, Watford 2, Crystal Palace 1.
So from happy Hammers to happy Hornets, Watford are through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. They beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. We've got Swansea against Manchester City coming right up, and then Wolves against Manchester United with Tom Rennie and Paul Parker later on this evening. Let's get back to Premier League action. Burnley still deep in trouble after a costly home defeat against Leicester City. We'll hear about that in just a moment from Andrew South, but I can tell you that they did it the hard way. Leicester, they played most of the game with 10 men. I think we can hear from Andrew Self, who's got the considered report from Turf Moor.
It finished here at Turf Moor, Burnley 1, Leicester 2. It only took 3 minutes for the blue touch paper to be lit when Goodmanson was tripped when breaking clear by Harry Maguire. Michael Oliver produced a very swift red card. But it was 10-man Leicester who took the lead on 33 when a James Maddison free kick hit the top corner of the net, although keeper Hayton cannot be too happy with his attempt. 5 minutes later, Burnley levelled when 19-year-old Dwight McNeil swept the ball in from the edge of the box in a flowing Burnley move. But the final act of this game came very, very late on. Burnley, who had played against 10 men for at least 86 minutes, fashioned very little and ended the game just pumping high balls up at sub Peter Crouch. But Leicester, who had defended stoutly, got a corner late on. Burnley didn't clear it before Tielemans' cross looped up off a defender for Wes Morgan on his 700th appearance to head past Heaton for a Foxes win. Burnley's last 7 matches include games against Chelsea, Man City, Everton and Arsenal. Burnley fans, a penny for your thoughts tonight? It finished here, Burnley 1, 10-man Leicester 2.
Dark thoughts, I would wager. A costly, damaging, potentially disastrous defeat for Burnley. Newcastle have improved of late, but needed something at Bournemouth as they inch their way towards safety. Our man there was Adam Inca.
It's finished Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 2, a game full of drama. Rondon opened the scoring at the end of the first half with a brilliant free kick. Straight away, after half-time, the controversy started. Mike Dean awarding a questionable penalty for a push on Nathan Ake. Up steps King, dispatched the penalty. He added a second shortly afterwards after brilliant hold-up play by Dominic Solanke. And then, justice. Matt Ritchie against his old club right at the end of the game, volleying into the top corner. Plenty to talk about after the game. I'm sure Rafa Benitez will be talking about that penalty. It's finished. Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 2.
That could be an absolutely precious point for Newcastle United. Let me just take you through the table then as it affects the bottom. Huddersfield still bottom with 14. Fulham, who entertain Liverpool tomorrow, have 17. Those two teams surely are beyond redemption. Huddersfield, in fact, will go down if they lose their next two games against Crystal Palace and Leicester. Burnley still deep in trouble. Cardiff didn't play. Burnley had the opportunity to put some daylight between them and the Welsh club, but they couldn't. Defeated, as we heard, against Leicester. Cardiff have 28 points. Burnley just 2 points above them, but having played a game more. And then it's Southampton with 30 points from 30 games in 16th. Brighton and Crystal Palace not yet quite out of it on 33, and Newcastle a precious point to take them up to 34. Clive Walker is preparing to give his wit and wisdom to the FA Cup game between Swansea and Manchester City in just a moment, and he's alongside me. Any case at all for a Swansea upset? I mean, City have rested players, but it doesn't really matter because whoever they rest, they still field an extraordinarily top quality side.
It's very difficult to make a case for them, John, but having said that, you know, we all love the FA Cup and its history and what's happened over the many years, and there's been some more peculiar results in the FA Cup than any cup and division I think there has ever been. So on that basis you can't rule out Swansea, but it looks like a next to impossible task for them. What do they want? Do they want Man City to have an absolutely awful game? Yes, of course. Do they have to play at the very top level? Yes. Bring all that together, a lot of luck, not just a little bit, a lot of luck, and maybe they can sneak a goal and
you're kind of talking your way out of this.
Put 11 players behind the ball. But, you know, if they can get an early goal, I think that's got to be the opportunity. Catch City a little bit cold, maybe find them in a position where mentally they're thinking, well, they're going to win the game anyway, and a bit of complacency perhaps, but I would think that's where they need to be. But, you know, it can happen, John. It certainly can happen.
Yeah, well, Clive, enjoy the game. Watford are already through. 2-1 winners against Crystal Palace. A late goal by substitute Andre Gray after Michy Batshuayi had cancelled out an early goal from Etienne Capoue. So Watford are through, but there are 3 spaces still to be earned in the FA Cup. Manchester City, you would think, would be comfortable, with the greatest respect to Swansea City, who are mid-table in the Championship. I think the game at Molineux between Wolves and Manchester United could be the pick of the bunch. And of course, don't forget, it's Millwall against Brighton and Hove Albion. Millwall, another survivor from the Championship in the FA Cup, in action there. That's just about it from me. We've had a fantastic game at the London Stadium. 4-3 to West Ham from 3-1 down. Huddersfield lose again. They are doomed. And well, it looks like Fulham are going to join them. We've got Fulham-Liverpool for you tomorrow, but in just a moment we will have full commentary on Swansea City against Manchester City. A very good evening. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's running himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account. Liverpool, and just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League preview show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
The Emirates FA Cup with TalkSport.
And he crosses towards Alexis Sanchez, and Alexis Sanchez has levelled things up. Another for his collection under the arch in London.
The world's oldest and best cup competition.
Ball forward to Hazard, edge of the box, little layup. Giroud, going to get through. Giroud tiptoeing through. What a goal by Olivier Giroud.
History will be made.
In their 13th FA Cup final, they win it for an 8th time, taking them joint third on the all-time list with Tottenham.
The Emirates FA Cup with TalkSport Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Swansea City against Manchester City from the Liberty Stadium. I'm your host, Matt Davis-Adams. Alongside me, the former Chelsea and Sunderland winger, Clive Walker. You're listening to the Emirates FA Cup Live. So it is the quarter-final stage. Manchester City trying to do the unprecedented, complete the quadruple. They've already got one trophy in the cabinet in the form of the League Cup. This, the only domestic cup competition in England that Pep Guardiola hasn't won. It's also the only tournament he's ever entered as a manager and not been victorious in. Quite incredible. It is a wet and windy day in South Wales. Swansea City mid-table in the Championship. It really would be a stunning upset were they to knock City out of the competition here. We must have a winner today. Extra time and penalties if necessary. You can get as much as 25 to 1 on Swansea winning this game. And the bad news for them, as we check on the two teams, is that their top scorer, Ollie McBurney, is unavailable. He's been ill of late. They did think he might make the bench, but he hasn't even got that far. So they show one change from the side that was beaten at West Brom on Wednesday, with Jay Fulton coming in for the injured Kyle Norton. That means Matt Grimes moves back to left back. Swansea have Christopher Nordfeldt in goal, a back four of Connor Roberts, Mike van der Horn, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Matt Grimes. Just a couple of these names will be familiar to you if you followed Swansea in the Premier League last season as the two teams make their way out onto the Liberty Stadium pitch. A midfield three, Jay Fulton, George Byers and Versant Salina. Salina playing against his old club today. And up front, Nathan Dyer and Wayne Routledge, either side of Daniel James. Manchester City strong. They've rotated in the FA Cup, but not to the extent that you might think so far. And there's just 4 changes from the 11 that started against Schalke on Tuesday. Ederson is in goal. He started every round so far. Back four is Kyle Walker, Nicolas Otamendi, Aymeric Laporte and Fabian Delph. Then it's Ilkay Gundogan, David Silva and Bernardo Silva in midfield, with Leroy Sané and Riyad Mahrez flanking Gabriel Jesus. City's subs: Muric the goalkeeper, Danilo, Sterling, Aguero, Zinchenko, Foden and Garcia. Swansea's replacements: Mulder, Azoro, Mackay, Danda, Baker Richardson, Harris and Declan John. Andre Mariner is the referee. Clive, you've already been asked to try and make a case for Swansea, so I won't ask you to do that again. Manchester City, this is fourth on their list of priorities, essentially. Obviously, they've already won the Carabao Cup, but Champions League tricky tie against Spurs coming up. They might finish the weekend second in the Premier League if Liverpool win tomorrow. Is there a chance they could take their eye off the ball here with so many other distractions coming their way?
Well, I think we've got used to Pep Guardiola and the way he rotates his players, and also you mentioned it earlier about the fact that he's never won the FA Cup, so I guess he must, although it might be fourth on his list, he might be also thinking, I would love to do all four, but certainly with the FA Cup as well in the bag, is that a good opportunity to take the Champions League, and possibly they'll be somewhere around top two in the Premier League. So I guess from the team he selected, we're certainly looking at a Man City side that are strong.